The Brothers Grimm are universally recognized for their enchanting collection of fairy tales that have delighted audiences for generations. However, beneath the surface of these beloved stories lies a darker, more complex reality. When we delve deep into the original versions of tales such as Snow White, Hansel and Gretel, and Little Red Riding Hood, we find narratives that serve a very different purpose than merely entertaining children. Take Snow White, for instance. In the original narrative, the wicked queen goes to extreme lengths to eliminate her rival. Instead of simply sending a poisoned apple, she attempts to kill Snow White on several occasions, using various methods including a choking corset and a poisoned comb. These details, lost in many modern retellings, highlight a profound warning about vanity and jealousy, not just a tale about a girl and her beauty. Then consider Hansel and Gretel. The widely known version of this tale has been sanitized for modern audiences. In the original, the themes of abandonment and hunger strike a painful chord. The story is set against a backdrop of famine, where the children's parents, filled with desperation, leave them in the forest. The following encounter with the witch, who lures them in with the promise of sweets, is a stark reminder of the dangers that can emerge from human desperation. It serves as a cautionary tale about trust and the potential perils that lurk beneath the surface of allure. Little Red Riding Hood presents another striking example. In contemporary adaptations, the tale often ends with a heroic woodsman coming to the rescue. Yet, in the earlier versions, the story takes a far more sinister turn. Little Red Riding Hood does indeed enter the wolf's lair, but she meets a darker fate. The wolf is not just a cunning predator. This story serves as a metaphor for the loss of innocence and the dangers of straying from the path. It warns listeners to be vigilant and to heed parental advice about the dangers of the world. The unsettling elements of these original tales reflect the harsh realities of life during the time they were penned. The Brothers Grimm were not merely storytellers. They were cultural historians who captured the fears and moral lessons of their era. Many of the stories contain grim themes that address societal concerns, such as the consequences of greed, the importance of virtue, and the potential for betrayal by those closest to us. Cinderella provides yet another example of the darker roots of fairy tales. The familiar image of a fairy godmother helping Cinderella magically transform for the ball is memorable, yet the original tale conveys a much harsher message about familial cruelty and social hierarchies. In some versions, the ugly stepsisters go to great lengths to secure their place in the prince's heart, even resorting to self-mutilation to fit into the lost slipper. This contrasts sharply with the light-hearted adaptations seen today, emphasizing the lengths to which individuals will go in the pursuit of acceptance and love. The Brothers Grimm did not shy away from conveying the brutality of life, aiming to instill lessons through fear and caution. Their goal was to prepare children for the complexities of the world rather than shield them from darker truths. Each story, infused with elements of mystique and horror, teaches vital lessons about morality, survival, and the human condition. As society evolved, so too did the retellings of these stories. The sanitized versions we know today are often designed to entertain and impart gentle morals, stripping away the more chilling elements that once served as potent warnings. Some modern adaptations focus on romance and adventure, glossing over the more sinister messages that emphasize the importance of being wary of appearances and external enticements. These original tales act as a mirror reflecting the fears and anxieties of their time. They reveal how societal norms influence storytelling and how lessons about virtue and morality can be imparted in both graphic and gentle ways. With each story, we uncover threads of humanity that connect past generations to our own, reminding us that while times may change, the lessons learned through tales often remain relevant. The striking contrast between the original tales and their modern adaptations open an intriguing door to understanding the human psyche in different cultural contexts. They initiate discussions about storytelling techniques and the evolution of narratives over time. Why do we shy away from the darkness today, when it once held such profound importance? What does it say about contemporary society and our willingness to confront uncomfortable truths? As we explore these timeless tales, we uncover the remarkable capacity of stories to reflect our fears, hopes, and realities. The Brothers Grimm's remarkable collection invites us to embrace the complexities of life and reminds us that even within darkness, there can be lessons that illuminate our path. Through their journeys, the characters confront peril and triumph, serving as reminders of the resilience of the human spirit and the importance of vigilance in a world that can often be deceptive. Ultimately, the Grimm fairy tales force us to consider the dual nature of narratives, those that enchant and those that caution. By understanding the original stories, we connect with the heart of storytelling itself, a vital tapestry woven through generations that continues to shape our understanding of morality and human experience. So the next time you hear a familiar fairy tale, remember to look beyond the surface and embrace the lessons steeped in the shadows. The story of Hansel and Gretel, a well-known fairy tale attributed to the brothers Grimm, often evokes images of whimsical forests and gingerbread houses. However, beneath its seemingly innocent exterior lies a darker narrative that delves into themes of survival, hunger, and the very real historical context of famine that plagued various societies. At its core, Hansel and Gretel tells the tale of two children abandoned in the woods by their parents. This abandonment, though fictional, echoes the harsh realities faced by many families during times of crisis throughout history. Famine has forced numerous families to make unimaginable choices, sometimes leading to desperation and the breakdown of societal norms. In many ways, Hansel and Gretel encapsulates this struggle through its haunting imagery and compelling storyline. As the children wander the forest, they encounter a house made of candy and sweets, a symbol of temptation but also of danger. This fantasy element reflects the desires and cravings that often emerge during times of scarcity. The gingerbread house is not merely a whimsical addition. It represents the sugary allure of the unattainable. For people experiencing hunger, such dreams can turn into fantasies where food becomes synonymous with safety and comfort. The tale's infamous witch, who lures the children into her lair, embodies the dualities of nourishment and peril. She appears to offer Hansel and Gretel everything they have longed for, yet her true intentions are sinister. The witch's cannibalistic tendencies reflect age-old fears surrounding the extremes of human hunger and the desperation that drives individuals to exploit the vulnerable. Her character serves as a cautionary figure, reminding listeners that indulgence and greed can lead to dire consequences. Throughout the story, the children demonstrate resourcefulness in overcoming their dire circumstances. This theme of survival is powerful and resonates deeply with anyone who has faced adversity. When Hansel uses breadcrumbs to mark their path, it hints at the necessity of cleverness and ingenuity in the face of hardship. Often, the smallest actions can lead to significant outcomes, especially when survival is at stake. As the narrative progresses, the siblings outsmart the witch, ultimately reclaiming their autonomy and agency. This moment serves as a pivotal point in the story, showcasing resilience and the importance of collaboration in overcoming challenges. Their victory against the witch symbolizes not just triumph over adversity, but also a reclaiming of innocence. In essence, the story melds elements of horror and hope, revealing the intricate balance between fear and courage. Themes of cannibalism in this tale also extend to the societal commentary surrounding the sacrifices made during dire conditions. In historical contexts, cannibalism has often surfaced as a grim option during extreme famine or crisis. Not only does it evoke shock and horror, but it also poses fundamental questions about humanity. What lengths would one go to for survival? The story of Hansel and Gretel allows us to explore these unsettling questions through the lens of fiction, making it all the more poignant. Moreover, the relationship between the children and their parents highlights the strains that societal pressures and scarcity can impose on family dynamics. The decision of the parents to abandon Hansel and Gretel reflects a grim choice often made in desperation, a sacrifice they perceive as necessary for survival. Historical accounts reveal that families in famine-stricken areas occasionally resorted to desperate measures to preserve their own well-being, sometimes leading them to part with children they could no longer support. This heartbreaking reality adds another layer to the tale, transforming it into a commentary on familial love and the complexities inherent in parental decisions. The journey through the forest plays a significant role in establishing the atmosphere of the story. Dark, forbidding woods evoke feelings of uncertainty and trepidation, symbolizing the unknown challenges that lie ahead. Forests have often been portrayed in folklore and fairy tales as places of both enchantment and danger, a realm where the familiar can quickly turn treacherous. This tension between safety and peril mirrors the emotional landscapes that individuals navigate when faced with crises. As the children successfully escape and finally return home, their transformation from victims to victors highlights the notion of reclaiming power. This act serves as an important reminder that within the darkest narratives lies the potential for hope and renewal. The story encompasses the resilience inherent in childhood innocence and the capability to survive even the bleakest of circumstances. In conclusion, the tale of Hansel and Gretel is more than just a children's story. It serves as a reminder of the historical famine realities that compelled individuals to confront their deepest fears and instincts. By weaving themes of cannibalism, abandonment, and resilience into a narrative that captivates the imagination, Hansel and Gretel invites listeners to consider profound questions about humanity, survival, and the choices that define us. The story remains relevant today, resonating through generations as a reflection of both the darkness and light within the human experience. Once upon a time, in the rich tapestry of storytelling, there existed a tale that has captured the imagination of generations: Little Red Riding Hood. This story has evolved significantly over the years, transforming from a gritty cautionary tale about predators to a sanitized version suitable for children, reflecting societal changes, cultural values, and the evolution of storytelling itself. The origins of Little Red Riding Hood can be traced back to ancient oral traditions. The earliest versions of this tale often contain dark, cautionary themes meant to instill fear and impart important life lessons. For instance, in various retellings across Europe, the wolf symbolized various threats to the innocent and trusting. These stories often highlighted the dangers of straying from the path and the consequences of naivete. The protagonist, a young girl dressed in a red cap, ventured into the woods, a space filled with mystery and danger, only to encounter the cunning wolf. This encounter typically served as a warning about the importance of being cautious and aware of one's surroundings. As the story made its way through different cultures, it adapted to the social norms and values of the times. In some interpretations, the wolf is portrayed as a rapacious predator, a metaphor for the dangers lurking in society. Stories like these aimed to warn children about the malevolent forces in the world, and they were often imbued with moral lessons about deception and the importance of listening to parental guidance. The character of Little Red Riding Hood herself often embodied innocence, and her journey served as a means to explore themes such as vulnerability and experience. By the time the tale reached the brothers Grimm in the early 19th century, it had begun to reflect their own narrative style and the cultural atmosphere of the time. The Grimm version, while still maintaining elements of fear, introduced a more straightforward moral lesson: the importance of obedience and caution. Little Red Riding Hood's encounters were designed to convey the consequences of disobedience and the perils of trusting strangers, exemplified by her fateful meeting with the wolf, who devours her grandmother and attempts to deceive her. However, in this iteration, there is a twist. A brave woodsman arrives just in time to save both Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother, reinforcing the idea of good triumphing over evil. As the story continued to evolve into the 20th century, the focus shifted dramatically. The darker themes and warnings were stripped away, paving the way for a more sanitized version targeted at children. In this retelling, the wolf became less intimidating, often portrayed more as a bumbling or comedic figure rather than a fearsome predator. The emphasis shifted from the lurking dangers to light-hearted adventures, with elements that included sweet interactions between Little Red Riding Hood and her forest friends. This transformation reflected a broader societal change towards the protection of childhood innocence, leading to a narrative that was more about adventure and less about danger. Contemporary adaptations of Little Red Riding Hood have continued to build upon this foundation. In animated films and children's books, Little Red Riding Hood is often depicted as a resourceful and brave young girl who, rather than being a passive character in distress, actively engages with the challenges she faces. This change denotes an evolution in storytelling that celebrates empowerment and resilience, moving away from the notion of vulnerability to portraying girls and young women as capable protagonists. Furthermore, modern variations often include messages about friendship, courage, and self-discovery. In these new interpretations, the forest, once a place of danger, becomes a space of wonder and enchantment, inviting children to explore their imaginations alongside Little Red Riding Hood. The wolf might even transform into a more relatable character, one who learns lessons alongside Little Red Riding Hood, showcasing themes of understanding and growth. This evolution of Little Red Riding Hood from a cautionary tale to a wholesome children's story illustrates a shift in societal values and the portrayal of characters within narratives. It serves as a poignant reminder of how stories are not static, but are rather living entities that reflect the cultures and times in which they exist. The tale has become a canvas upon which we paint our collective fears, triumphs, and aspirations, adjusting the brushstrokes to suit the audience of the time. In the essence of storytelling, the journey of Little Red Riding Hood reminds us that every tale carries with it the potential for reinvention. With each retelling, new layers are added, enriching the narrative and ensuring its continued relevance. As we share these stories with younger generations, we not only pass down timeless lessons, but also adapt to the evolving landscape of societal norms, ultimately celebrating the magic of imagination and the transformative power of stories that have weathered the test of time. Once upon a time, in a distant kingdom, there existed a tale that has captivated hearts for generations. It is the story of Sleeping Beauty, a princess whose beauty and charm were envied by many. However, the origins of her story reveal darker themes that have largely been forgotten or sanitized over time. The most famous version of Sleeping Beauty, popularized by Disney, tells a whimsical narrative filled with enchanting spells and true love's kiss. Yet if we rewind to its roots, we discover a far more disturbing start. The earliest versions of this tale do not simply revolve around a princess awaiting rescue. Instead, they delve into themes that could be unsettling to modern ears. The original narrative, attributed to Charles Perrault in the late 17th century, tells of a princess who pricks her finger on a spinning wheel and falls into a deep slumber, all due to an ill-mannered fairy's curse. This is where the story takes a dark turn. In some retellings, particularly in the version by Giambattista Basile, the plot unfolds with alarming intensity. The princess, while unconscious, becomes the subject of a gruesome fate when a king discovers her. Instead of being saved by true love, she is subjected to an assault while in her unconscious state. This version reveals a chilling dimension to what has been romanticized into a heroic rescue scenario. The king, inexplicably drawn to her beauty, cannot resist the opportunity to take advantage of her vulnerable state. Though she eventually awakens, it adds an unsettling layer to the narrative. Recovery does not center around consent or agency, but instead raises questions about the dynamics of power, desire, and the loss of autonomy. As time progressed, the story transformed. The grim elements were glossed over, and the tale morphed into one of enchantment and hopeful romance. The emphasis shifted towards the importance of true love, making it a narrative focused on the redemptive qualities often found in fairy tales. The very notion of Sleeping Beauty became synonymous with the idea of waiting, of patience, and of ultimate rescue by a noble figure. Understanding the darker beginnings of such stories compels us to reflect on how narratives evolve over time. The sanitized versions serve a purpose, often offering escapism and comfort in their moral undertones. Yet, when we only explore the lighter interpretations, we risk overlooking the realities and lessons embedded within the original tales. Stories have the power to reflect societal values, fears, and the evolution of human relationships throughout history. This juxtaposition of themes also pushes us to consider how we tell stories today. Are we shying away from complexity and darker realities in favor of narratives that fit our ideals? How often do we choose to overlook uncomfortable truths in favor of something more palatable? Fairy tales, often seen as innocent children's stories, in fact, provide a mirror to our societies, reflecting our deepest anxieties and darkest fears. The undercurrents of power dynamics and consent are critical conversations that the original tale inadvertently touches upon. The figures in these stories, whether princes or princesses, often embody traits we aspire to or dread, serving as a reminder of our own complexities in navigating relationships and morality. Moreover, the broader implications of these themes resonate well beyond the confines of fairy tales. They relate to contemporary discussions surrounding consent, agency, and power imbalances within various contexts, be it in relationships, workplaces, or society as a whole. In this light, Sleeping Beauty is not just a simple fairy tale of a princess trapped in slumber, waiting to be saved. It is a reminder of the importance of narrative responsibility, the significance of the stories we choose to tell, and the elements we sometimes choose to omit. As we reflect upon these stories, it can be beneficial to engage with their original meanings, appreciating both the beauty and the ambiguity they present. This introspection allows us to honor the complexities of human experience, while also ensuring that the next generation of storytellers think critically about the morals they choose to impart through their narratives. In unraveling the origins of tales such as Sleeping Beauty, we glean insights that are essential for recognizing the intricate dance of narrative, culture, and societal norms. These timeless stories, while enchanting, remind us of the importance of context, the weight of history, and the power of narrative stewardship in shaping perceptions for the future. So as you venture into the world of fairy tales, consider diving into the depths of their origins. Explore beyond the surface gloss and engage with the thoughts and fears that birth these timeless stories. You may find that the beauty of a tale lies not just in its happiest moments, but in its ability to provoke thought, inspire conversation, and reflect the realities of the human condition. The tale of the Pied Piper is one that has captivated audiences for centuries. Its origins can be traced back to the town of Hamelin in Germany, where the story recounts the arrival of a mysterious piper who offers to rid the town of its rat problem. However, this familiar narrative holds deeper meanings and has often been interpreted as an allegory for historical events, such as the Black Death that swept through Europe in the 14th century. To understand the Pied Piper's historical context, we must first delve into the factors that led to the tale's creation. The late Middle Ages were marked by social upheaval, widespread poverty, and devastating diseases. The Black Death, in particular, had a profound impact on European society, claiming millions of lives and leaving communities in despair. It was during this tumultuous period that people sought explanations for their suffering. They turned to stories that embodied their fears and uncertainties. Now, let us consider the Piper himself. He is often depicted as a charismatic and alluring figure who possesses a magical ability to lure rats out of the town with his enchanting music. This aspect of the story can be seen as a metaphor for the hope that individuals sought in desperate times. The Piper's promise to rid the town of its plague of rats serves as a parallel to the public's yearning for a solution to their plight during the Black Death. Just as the townspeople believed the Piper could save them, people during that era sought divine intervention or scientific solutions to combat the relentless spread of disease. Moreover, the tale takes a darker turn. After the townspeople refuse to pay the Piper for his services, he retaliates by leading the children of Hamelin away. This part of the story can be interpreted as a reflection of the consequences of broken promises and the reliance on individuals who hold power. In the face of adversity, the townspeople's betrayal signifies the loss of faith in leadership at a time when guidance was desperately needed. The Piper, representing hope and assistance, becomes a cautionary figure who underscores the importance of trust and accountability. Looking beyond the immediate narrative, the Pied Piper story has also been linked to the wider phenomenon of societal collapse during the time of the Black Death. As fear and paranoia spread, communities responded with increasing suspicion toward outsiders and the unknown. The Piper, for instance, can be seen as an outsider, someone who comes into town with a promise but is ultimately shunned when his true intentions are revealed. This concept resonates with how entire populations during the Black Death turned against various groups, blaming them for the calamity that befell society. Jews, for example, were often scapegoated and wrongfully accused of causing the plague. The artistic interpretations of this tale throughout the years speak volumes about its relevance. The visual representations often focus on the strange and whimsical appearance of the Piper, echoing the notion that sometimes the solutions to our problems can appear both alluring and unsettling. The use of music as a tool for persuasion draws our attention to the power of arts in shaping our perceptions and influencing decisions. In folklore, music is frequently linked to magic, evoking the idea that it can manipulate emotions and lead one toward unexpected paths. Another layer of complexity in the Pied Piper story is the emphasis on childhood. The children are not just innocently led away, they represent the lost potential of a society shattered by disease. The disappearance of the children can symbolize the profound loss that communities faced as they grappled with grief and the consequences of choices made in panic. This resonates with the deep historical wounds left by the Black Death, where not only did many lives end prematurely, but also the very fabric of society was irrevocably altered. The metaphorical implications of the Pied Piper extend beyond historical events. They serve as a powerful reminder of the human experience. The story explores themes of leadership, trust, hope, and the quest for redemption in trying times. It invites us to reflect on how we respond to challenges and the importance of community cohesion amidst chaos. We see that the consequences of our actions can have far-reaching effects, not only on ourselves, but on future generations as well. As we ponder the tale of the Pied Piper, we can appreciate its enduring resonance. It reminds us of times when societies faced unbearable hardships yet emerged with lessons that are still relevant today. The Piper's Tale, rooted in history, transcends mere folklore. It illustrates the complexities of human nature, the power of choices, and the delicate balance between hope and despair. In revisiting this narrative, we gain insight into the past while also considering how its themes apply to our present, encouraging us to forge paths of collaboration and understanding even when faced with adversity. In essence, The Pied Piper is not just a story about a man with a magical pipe, but a reflection of humanity's intricate relationship with suffering, resilience, and the quest for a better future. Once upon a time, long before the familiar story of Cinderella was popularized by the brothers Grimm, a tale of a kind-hearted girl and her extraordinary journey captured the imaginations of people across different cultures. The essence of this story dates back thousands of years and can be found in various forms around the world, each version sharing a unique cultural moral. One of the earliest known versions of this story hails from ancient Greece. In the tale called Rhodope, a beautiful girl named Rhodope is unfairly mistreated by her stepmother. One day, while bathing, an eagle swoops down and snatches one of her sandals. The eagle, carrying it in its beak, flies all the way to Egypt, where it drops the sandal into the lap of the pharaoh. Intrigued by its beauty, he searches for its owner, leading him to Rhodope. This version emphasizes the theme of destiny and the often unseen connections that bring people together, demonstrating how fate can intervene in surprising ways. Moving across the globe, we find a Chinese version known as Yexian. Here, we meet a young girl named Yexian, who is also oppressed by a cruel stepmother. However, Yexian possesses a magical fish that her stepmother kills. But instead of despairing, she finds comfort in the fish's spirit, which helps her by providing beautiful clothes for a festival. When Yexian loses her slipper, the local king ultimately recognizes her remarkable qualities and seeks her out. This narrative emphasizes the power of inner beauty and kindness, suggesting that true worth is not measured by material possessions but rather by one's character. In another striking variant, we journey to the Native American traditions, where the story of The Girl Who Chased the Sun unfolds. In this version, the protagonist is a girl who embarks on an ambitious journey to capture the sun. Throughout her adventures, she encounters various challenges but remains determined and courageous. The moral here revolves around perseverance and the importance of pursuing one's dreams, teaching listeners that resilience can lead to great rewards, much like Cinderella's eventual triumph against adversity. The tale continues to evolve across different cultures, each adaptation woven with local customs and values. In Persian folklore, for instance, we learn of a story featuring a clever girl named Sucharita, whose intelligence and wit help her navigate the treacherous waters of her life. Her resourcefulness and sharp mind prove more effective than simple beauty, conveying the message that intellect and cleverness can pave the way to success. In African folklore, we encounter the girl with the magic bowl. This version showcases a girl who, instead of a slipper, is known for her ingenious cooking abilities. Her magical bowl creates delicious meals that impress everyone in her village. As she triumphs over adversity, the essence of community support and the importance of sharing one's gifts with others shine brightly in this retelling. The tale of Cinderella is not merely about romance or transformation. Rather, it's a collection of rich morals that vary depending on cultural lenses. Each version imparts lessons about kindness, perseverance, inner beauty, and the strength found in oneself and community. Readers and listeners across generations have found comfort and inspiration in these tales, reminding them of their own potential to overcome hardship. As we travel through time, we can see how the core of this beloved story resonates across age-old barriers. Cinderella's journey, whether through the enchanting gardens of ancient Greece or the bustling marketplaces of China, continuously reflects the universal struggle for dignity against adversity. People from all walks of life resonate with the theme of rising above challenges, showcasing the vital human spirit capable of resilience and hope. In modern retellings, while the focus often shifts toward the romance aspect, the essential message sometimes gets obscured. Yet every time the story is told, it holds a mirror to society, encouraging individuals to lead with compassion and courage. So the next time you come across the story of Cinderella, remember that her story is just one thread in a rich tapestry that spans various cultures and centuries. Each version not only enchants audiences, but also imparts wisdom relevant to all ages and times. Whether through cleverness, determination, or kindness, these motifs remind us that we all have the potential to rise in the face of adversities, becoming the fortunate heroes of our own stories. Beauty and the Beast is a tale that has enchanted audiences for generations. Its roots, while often attributed to fairy tale traditions, reveal a complex interplay between psychological perceptions of beauty, societal norms, and human relationships. To understand the intricacies of this story, we need to delve into its origins and explore how these elements contribute to its lasting appeal. The earliest known version of Beauty and the Beast can be traced back to a 17th century story by French novelist Gabrielle Suzanne Barbeau de Villeneuve. However, it was Jean-Marie Le Prince de Beaumont's simplified retelling in 1756 that popularized the narrative we are familiar with today. The essence of the story, a beautiful young woman and a cursed beast, captures not only the imagination, but also reflects deeper societal anxieties surrounding beauty and worth. Throughout history, beauty has been a focal point of human perception, often linked with virtue and desirability. Societies have built standards of what is considered beautiful, deeply influencing individual self-worth and interpersonal relationships. In the context of Beauty and the Beast, these themes are poignantly illustrated. The protagonist, Belle, is portrayed as predominantly virtuous and kind, completely detached from the superficial judgments made by others. Her ability to see beyond the beast's monstrous exterior speaks to a deeper understanding that beauty is not merely about aesthetic appeal, but rather an essence that resonates within. This psychological dimension can also be seen through the character of the beast, who represents more than just an outwardly fearsome appearance. His transformation from a self-centered prince to a more understanding and compassionate being highlights the journey of personal growth. This narrative arc symbolizes a universal truth, that true beauty stems from character, kindness, and the ability to love and be vulnerable. Society often overlooks these qualities in favor of more superficial indicators, underlining a psychological struggle many face. Moreover, Belle's relationship with the beast challenges conventional beauty standards. Their bond grows not from outward appearance but from shared experiences and mutual respect. This shift in perception invites the audience to reflect on their own biases and judgments. This story urges us to consider how we perceive others and ourselves in a world that often values appearance over substance. As we explore the underlying themes, we recognize that the tale also encapsulates the fear of the unknown. The beast's cursed existence serves as a reminder of our own fears and insecurities. The transformation of the beast can symbolize the power of empathy and understanding in transcending our initial reactions to others. In this way, the story becomes a mirror reflecting our own journeys toward acceptance and self-discovery. The animalistic qualities of the beast, often interpreted through a psychological lens, can also serve as a metaphor for the struggle between our primal instincts and refined societal behaviors. This duality invites audiences to confront their inner beasts, prompting introspection on what this means within various contexts. Each character serves as a reflection of how we perceive beauty, attraction, and the acceptance of imperfections. In examining further, the emotional landscape of Beauty and the Beast reveals personal and cultural values defining relationships, compassion, and personal growth. The narrative encompasses a journey that isn't solely about romantic love. It portrays friendship, loyalty, familial love, and courage in its most raw forms. By emphasizing these elements, Beauty and the Beast becomes a testament to the resilience of human connection amidst obstacles, fostering an appreciation of various forms of beauty they discover along the way. The story's enduring nature can also be attributed to its exploration of themes relevant across different cultures and historical periods. From Renaissance art to contemporary representations, beauty continues to be an evolving concept, infused with complex interpretations each generation uniquely shapes. The courage to look beyond the surface remains a timeless message, one that resonates deeply with audiences across the ages. The mythical dimensions of the tale allow it to transcend cultural barriers. Beauty and the Beast has inspired countless adaptations, from animated films to stage productions, allowing new audiences to engage with its layers of meaning. Each retelling brings with it the opportunity to reflect on how society's views on beauty have shifted, while still grounding the narrative in relatable emotional experiences. As we look at the history of this captivating tale, we see the power it holds to unite its audience through a shared exploration of what it means to truly see one another. It encourages compassion and acceptance, revealing the profound beauty found in embracing our differences, transforming our perceptions of worth and desirability. In summary, Beauty and the Beast serves not just as an enchanting story, but as a rich exploration of psychological perceptions surrounding beauty. Through its characters and themes, it invites us to consider the depth that lies behind appearances, prompting a journey of self-discovery and understanding. In a world that continues to grapple with how we define beauty, this timeless tale remains a powerful reminder of the beauty within all of us. Snow White is a tale that has enchanted audiences for centuries, but many are unaware that this beloved story has a multitude of versions from different cultures, each adding its own unique flavor and depth to the narrative. The origins of Snow White trace back to ancient folklore, where the core themes of jealousy, innocence, and transformation persist, yet the nuances vary widely across different regions and traditions. One of the earliest recorded versions of the Snow White story comes from the German brothers Grimm in the 19th century. In their rendition, Snow White is portrayed as a fair-skinned girl whose beauty incites the jealousy of her wicked stepmother. The well-known elements of the tale are present: the poisoned apple, the magic mirror, and the 7 dwarfs. However, if we delve deeper into the roots of this story, we find that it is influenced by older myths and fairy tales that incorporate darker themes and moral lessons. For instance, ancient tales often depicted the concept of a jealous queen, or wicked stepmother, in a variety of ways. In some African versions, the narrative may include elements of transformation, linking Snow White's beauty and trials to the natural world. The stepmother might not only seek to eliminate her, but also to hinder the balance of nature itself. Here, Snow White often represents the purity of nature, while the stepmother embodies the chaos of jealousy and ambition. Thus, the tale serves as a reminder of the harmony that must exist between humanity and nature. In contrast, an Italian rendition adds a unique twist to the story. Known as Margareta, the protagonist encounters not just dwarves, but also embodies a different kind of resilience. In this version, the story explores themes of domesticity and sacrifice, emphasizing the character's strength in overcoming adversities within a more communal context. The wicked figure still exists, but the story does not shy away from showing the perspectives of relationships, family bonds, and community support. Moving to the far reaches of Japan, we encounter a version of the Snow White tale in which the plot thickens with elements of spirit and nature. Here, the characters may interact with mythical creatures, and the wickedness is often tied to deeper themes of spirituality and supernatural forces. The tale illustrates a delicate balance of good and evil, suggesting that the beauty of one can be both a gift and a burden, entangling the protagonist in a larger cosmic struggle. This variation emphasizes how cultural beliefs influence the understanding of morality, nature, and personal struggle. In the Slavic versions known as Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs, Snow White's plight is often intertwined with themes of resurrection and rebirth. The tale carries a profound sense of loss and the dangers of vanity. The stepmother in this context is frequently depicted as a witch, whose actions are more malevolent and treacherous, bringing forth lessons that reflect the harsh realities of survival against malevolence. These tales emphasize the notion of resilience, where Snow White must navigate not just her appearance, but also explore her inner strength and wisdom. Each cultural variation of Snow White is like a thread woven into a larger tapestry of storytelling. They invite listeners to reflect on their own values, fears, and aspirations. While in one version Snow White might wake from a lifelong slumber through true love's kiss, in another she is revived through her own cunning and cleverness, drawing upon her experiences and the wisdom she has garnered along her journey. As more modern adaptations emerge, such as Disney's iconic animated film, the essence of Snow White remains but is filtered through different lenses of interpretation and societal values. The whimsical perspective often overrides the darker elements found in the originals, but this transformation opens the door for new discussions about identity and the evolution of storytelling. Moreover, the story continues to resonate in popular culture, providing a canvas for reinterpretation in literature, theater, and film. Every retelling reflects a reflection of contemporary society, their challenges, and the timeless nature of its themes, while shedding light on the inherent struggles between good and evil. In essence, the diverse origins of Snow White are illustrative of how storytelling evolves. Each version serves as a cultural artifact, capturing the essence of its time while simultaneously challenging the listener to find relevance in the tale. With each telling, we are reminded of the complexity of human emotions, the intrigues of relationships, and the lessons learned from our challenges. Snow White is more than just a story. It is a rich dialogue between cultures, a preservation of history, and an exploration of what it means to be human in the face of adversity. The beauty of these varied tales lies not only in their enchanting narratives but also in their power to inspire reflection, conversation, and ultimately, understanding of the different shades of life that comprise our shared human experience. Through them, we become part of a collective journey, one that transcends time, language, and borders, weaving us together in the shared experience of stories told from generation to generation. Once upon a time, in a world filled with mysterious tales and dark legends, there existed a character known as Bluebeard, who has captivated and horrified audiences for generations. This figure, often depicted as a wealthy and powerful nobleman, is shrouded in fables that explore themes of curiosity, betrayal, and the darker aspects of human nature. To understand Bluebeard's legacy, we must delve into the origins of this character, which can be traced back to the early 17th century. The story has its roots in folklore, where Bluebeard is depicted as a man with a distinctive blue beard, which not only makes him easily recognizable, but also symbolizes the enigma that surrounds him. The tales tell of his numerous marriages, each ending in tragedy, enshrouded in mystery, leading to whispers of dark secrets hidden behind his grand estate. What sets Bluebeard apart is the chilling aspect of his story. He is often portrayed as a murderer of his wives. In many versions, his brides are lured into his lavish home, where they find themselves in a world of luxury only to uncover his gruesome reality. The Forbidden Chamber, often a focal point of the narrative, represents a place where unspeakable horrors are concealed. The women, driven by curiosity, often open the door to this chamber, only to be met with the horrors that Bluebeard has committed against those who came before. This motif of forbidden knowledge is a recurring theme in literature and is especially poignant in Bluebeard's tale. It serves as a cautionary reminder about the dangers of curiosity and the consequences that can come from delving into the unknown. As the story unfolds, the figure of Bluebeard transforms from that of a charming nobleman to a fearsome villain, embodying the very essence of betrayal and deceit. His Bluebeard becomes a symbol of not just his physical appearance, but also the darkness that lies within. Historically, the character of Bluebeard has drawn inspiration from real-life figures who committed atrocities against women. These historical individuals were often men of power, who abused their status to exploit vulnerable victims. Their legacies serve as a stark reminder of the dangers that can come when power is combined with a disregard for human life. The stories of Bluebeard have been interpreted as a reflection of societal fears about abusive relationships and the consequences of silence surrounding such horrors. The narrative of Bluebeard has transcended time and culture, adapting to various forms of media, including operas, films, and novels. Each adaptation brings forth fresh interpretations while retaining the core themes of betrayal, hidden truths, and the struggle for empowerment against malevolent forces. In exploring these narratives, we can see how the figure of Bluebeard has become a haunting symbol of the darker sides of love and trust, where appearances can be deceiving, and the truth lies beneath the surface. As a character, Bluebeard raises questions about gender dynamics and power structures that continue to resonate in contemporary discussions. His gruesome legacy compels us to examine the relationships we cultivate and the trust we bestow upon others. In a world where Bluebeard lurks in the shadows, the importance of awareness and caution transcends the confines of the story itself. The allure of Bluebeard's tale lies in its ability to evoke a sense of intrigue while simultaneously awakening a deep-seated tension. Audiences are drawn to the thrill of suspense, the temptation of the forbidden, and the visceral reaction to the horrors that unfold. It serves as a narrative that intertwines fear and fascination, reflecting the complexities of human relationships and the dark undercurrents that can exist beneath the surface of surface-level charm. Ultimately, the legacy of Bluebeard remains a powerful commentary on the darker aspects of human nature and the cyclical nature of violence and betrayal. Each retelling of this tale reaffirms the need to recognize the dangers of power imbalance in relationships, celebrating the resilience of those who have been victimized, and emphasizing the importance of speaking out against injustice. The story of Bluebeard transcends mere entertainment. It becomes a vessel for deeper reflection on how we navigate the complexities of trust, curiosity, and the human capacity for both love and cruelty. In the end, Bluebeard's gory legacy serves as both a warning and a lesson, cautioning us against the perils of curiosity in the face of ominous secrets. Through his haunting tales, we are reminded of the importance of vigilance and the pursuit of truth. For within the shadows of deception lies the potential for both horror and enlightenment. The Ugly Duckling is a timeless tale by Hans Christian Andersen that delves deep into themes of transformation, identity, and the journey towards self-acceptance. At first glance, it appears to be a simple story about a young bird who is mistreated and deemed unattractive by those around him. However, the narrative offers a profound metaphor for Andersen's own life experiences, reflecting his struggles and eventual triumphs. Born in 1805 into humble beginnings in Odense, Denmark, Andersen faced numerous challenges throughout his early years. He came from a poor family, and his father died when he was just a child, leaving him with financial struggles and a quest for stability. Growing up, Andersen felt different from his peers, much like the ugly duckling felt out of place in a world that valued beauty and conformity. This sense of isolation and the yearning for acceptance permeated much of Andersen's life and is poignantly mirrored in the story. In the beginning of The Ugly Duckling, the protagonist is born into a family of beautiful, graceful ducks. However, he is immediately distinguished by his large size and perceived awkwardness. From the moment he hatches, he is ridiculed and ostracized. Despite his attempts to fit in, he only faces rejection. This mirrors Andersen's own feelings of being an outcast in society. As a young boy, he was often teased for his differences, his appearance, and his dreams of becoming a writer and an artist. The Ugly Duckling embodies the struggles of anyone who has ever felt as though they do not belong. As the Ugly Duckling wanders through the world, he encounters various animals, each representative of society's narrow definitions of beauty and worth. The swans, which he later discovers to be his true kin, symbolize the ultimate acceptance and grace that he is yet to find. This journey is emblematic of Andersen's pursuit of artistic validation and recognition. Throughout his life, he grappled with self-doubt and the fear that he would never achieve the success he craved. His inexplicable drive to create, even in the face of adversity, mirrors the Ugly Duckling's determination to find his place in the world. The turning point in the story occurs when the Ugly Duckling matures and becomes a beautiful swan, finally realizing that he was never actually a duckling, but a magnificent swan all along. This epiphany reflects a universal truth: the transition from feeling inadequate to embracing one's unique beauty and potential. Andersen's own journey followed a similar arc. After years of rejection and struggle, he eventually gained recognition as a brilliant storyteller and playwright. His works became beloved by audiences, and he finally discovered a community that appreciated him for who he truly was. Another layer to consider is the role of external validation in the quest for self-worth. In the story, the Ugly Duckling's transformation coincides with his acceptance as a swan, suggesting that recognition and acceptance can lead to personal contentment. While this raises the question of reliance on others for self-esteem, it also illustrates the power of community and support. Andersen himself found solace in the literary community in Copenhagen, developing friendships with influential figures who fostered his talents. It was within these connections that he began to flourish, much like the Ugly Duckling surrounded by fellow swans. Moreover, the Ugly Duckling holds a mirror to the societal pressures that dictate what is considered beautiful or acceptable. The harsh treatment of the duckling because of his looks is a reflection of a world that often values superficial attributes over inner qualities. This message still resonates today. We continue to live in a society that is often quick to judge based on appearances, leading many to feel inadequate or unsupported. Andersen's story encourages readers to look past these societal constructs and embrace diversity in all its forms. Through The Ugly Duckling, Andersen communicates that transformation is a natural process that often requires patience and resilience. The journey towards self-acceptance is not always easy, but it is undoubtedly rewarding. It reminds us that everyone has their own unique path, filled with obstacles and triumphs. The swan's graceful flight is not just a symbol of beauty, but also of the struggles endured along the way to reach that point. Hans Christian Andersen's life was marked by a similar evolution. His experiences played into the creation of stories that continue to resonate across generations. The Ugly Duckling serves not only as a comforting tale for children, but also as a profound reminder to adults of the importance of embracing our individual journeys. This story encourages us to celebrate our differences and recognize that every so-called ugly duckling has the potential to reveal an exquisite swan capable of inspiring others and of finding a place in a world that is often less than kind. In conclusion, The Ugly Duckling transcends its narrative to embody the essence of personal growth and acceptance. It is a powerful metaphor for Andersen's own experiences and anyone who has ever felt like an outsider. Through the story, we learn that true beauty lies not in what is visible, but in the journey of self-discovery and the courage to embrace one's identity. Just as the ugly duckling found his rightful place among the swans, we too can find our way to belonging in a world that celebrates our uniqueness. Ultimately, Andersen's tale is one of hope, reminding us that even those who begin as outsiders can rise above, discover their true selves, and soar to incredible heights. Rapunzel is a tale rich with symbolism, and one of the most compelling themes throughout the story is the concept of entrapment. The character of Rapunzel finds herself confined within the towering walls of a castle, all because of a curse placed upon her by a malevolent witch. At first glance, this might seem like a simple plot device. However, when we delve deeper, we begin to see how this confinement mirrors historical issues surrounding gender roles and societal expectations. The story opens with Rapunzel's parents, particularly her father, who willingly crosses a forbidden boundary to obtain a precious plant for his pregnant wife. This act sets off a chain of events that leads to Rapunzel being taken away and isolated. Here, we can pause to reflect on how women's autonomy has often been compromised throughout history. Crowns and thrones may have been held by men, but behind those figures were countless women who often had little control over their own fates. Rapunzel, raised in solitude, becomes a symbol of that lost autonomy, a young woman whose life is dictated by the whims and desires of those in power around her. As we consider the witch who locks Rapunzel away, we can view her not just as a villain, but also as a representation of societal constraints. The witch embodies the fear and judgment that women can face when they do not comply with societal norms. In a sense, she reflects the internalized sexism that can trap women in subservient roles. This dynamic serves to highlight the lengths to which society sometimes goes to control and suppress female independence. Instead of celebrating Rapunzel's talents and abilities, the witch seeks to stifle them, much like how many women have faced similar challenges throughout history. Rapunzel's physical entrapment is mirrored in her emotional and psychological state. Living in isolation, she has few opportunities to develop her own identity. Her only source of companionship comes from her long hair, which symbolizes beauty but also becomes a tool for escape. When the prince finds her, he climbs her hair to reach her tower, a moment that suggests the power of connection in overcoming barriers. It points to the idea that through support and companionship, individuals can find strength and a way to rise above their circumstances. This connection can be seen as an allegory for solidarity among women in the face of oppression, where shared experiences and mutual support can help dismantle the confines of societal limitations. As the story progresses, Rapunzel's dynamic with the prince reveals further layers to her entrapment. Although he represents freedom and possibility, he ultimately serves as another figure of authority in her life. His arrival might seem liberating at first, but it prompts questions about whether her fate is any less controlled, simply because she has traded one captor for another. This reflects the realization that escape from one form of confinement does not always mean true freedom. It may simply lead to new forms of subjugation. In various historical contexts, women have often found that even when they step out of one oppressive situation, they can easily find themselves in another, making the struggle for true autonomy a continuous journey. In the climax of the tale, Rapunzel's eventual end with the witch's defeat is symbolic, representing not just the triumph of good over evil, but also an awakening. The moment she reunites with the prince signifies a reclamation of her agency. She transforms from a passive figure waiting for rescue into an active participant in her own narrative. This shift allows us to consider the broader implications of empowerment and the agency of women in choosing their paths despite the contexts that seek to limit them. Despite the fairy tale nature of Rapunzel's story, its themes resonate with real-world issues related to gender oppression and the fight for autonomy. From the restrictive walls of the tower to the tangled strands of her hair, Rapunzel's story serves as a powerful metaphor for the struggles that women have faced throughout history. Her journey invites us to ponder the ways in which society can ensnare individuals, but also reminds us of the strength found in solidarity and the power of self-determination. As we reflect on the themes embodied in Rapunzel, we are encouraged to think critically about the societal constructs that continue to shape perceptions of gender. Her story reminds us that liberation comes in many forms, and often requires both personal and collective efforts to challenge the status quo. In the end, Rapunzel teaches us not only about the pain of confinement, but also about the joy of finding one's voice, and the importance of nurturing connections that help us navigate through life's complexities. Through her narrative, we can gain insights into historical gender issues, inspiring conversations that extend beyond the realm of fairy tales and into the foundations of our society today. Once upon a time, in a quaint little kingdom, there lived a miller who fancied himself quite clever. He boasted to everyone that his daughter could spin straw into gold. This boast soon reached the ears of the king, a man who had a passion for wealth and treasure. Intrigued, he summoned the miller's daughter to his castle, where he locked her in a small room filled to the brim with straw. He commanded her to spin the straw into gold by morning, or face a dire fate. The miller's daughter, terrified and alone, sat in the dim light, surrounded by an overwhelming sea of straw. As she pondered the impossible task before her, a strange little creature appeared. This being was Rumpelstiltskin, a figure cloaked in mystery who had the power to weave magic from ordinary materials. He offered her a deal. He would spin the straw into gold for her, but in return, she would have to give him something precious. At first, the miller's daughter readily agreed and gave him her necklace, a treasured heirloom from her mother. As night fell, the little creature worked tirelessly, transforming the piles of straw into shiny gold, and by dawn, the room was radiant with the glimmer of wealth. The king was delighted and once again imprisoned the girl, this time commanding her to produce even more gold. As you can see, this moment highlights a fundamental theme in many fairy tales, the dangers and allure of making a deal, particularly when it involves sacrificing something precious. The young woman never imagined that her father's boast would lead her to such a perilous predicament. The story reflects a societal view that warns us to be cautious of promises made in desperation or ambition. The stakes rose even higher in the second round, as the mysterious Rumpelstiltskin returned to her prison. Upon realizing she had nothing left to offer, he made a much more significant demand. This time, he asked for her firstborn child in exchange for his magical assistance. A sobering idea emerged, the concept of selling one's future for immediate gain. This moment serves as a reflection of how society often grapples with the implications of promises, especially when the consequences ripple well beyond the moment of the deal. Once again, the room transformed overnight, filling with sparkling gold. The miller's daughter, now a queen, soon bore a child, but the happiness of motherhood was abruptly shadowed by the looming presence of Rumpelstiltskin, who came to claim his price. Here lies another critical aspect of the story: the realization that the allure of immediate gratification can lead to unforeseen consequences. The queen, now faced with the reality of her choices, was put to the ultimate test. But even in dire circumstances, people often find resilience. In her desperation, the queen devised a plan. When Rumpelstiltskin arrived to collect his due, she played for time, cleverly asking him to reveal his name. Rumpelstiltskin, confident in his power, obliged her inquiry, believing she could not possibly discover his true identity. Yet fate had other plans. While he revealed his name, she was struck by the sudden realization that this secret held the key to her freedom. In this tale, the ultimate triumph of the queen serves as a poignant reminder of the importance of knowledge and cleverness in navigating the intricacies of promises made. This is a significant element in many fairy tales. Knowledge is power, and understanding one's circumstances can lead to empowerment in the face of adversity. Rumpelstiltskin's bargain encapsulates a timeless lesson about the weight of promises and the often complex nature of bargains struck under pressure. The story illustrates how the consequences of our choices ripple beyond the immediate moment, impacting not just our lives but the lives of those around us. Additionally, it invites reflection on the nature of desire and ambition. The king's insatiable appetite for gold mirrors society's relentless pursuit of wealth, sometimes at the expense of morality. The miller's daughter's journey highlights how ambition, when mixed with desperation, can lead to choices that bind us in unforeseen ways. This fairy tale persists through generations, in part because it speaks to a fundamental truth about human nature. It reveals the tension between desire and consequence, ambition and responsibility. Rumpelstiltskin remains a cautionary figure, reminding us of the potential pitfalls that come with making deals that seem too good to be true. Ultimately, the tale of Rumpelstiltskin is woven with layers of meaning that still resonate today. It evokes questions about trust, the value of promises, and the lengths one is willing to go to in order to achieve their desires. Just as the miller's daughter learns that promises may have hidden costs, we are reminded that every choice we make can lead to unforeseen circumstances. As you reflect on the story, think of the deals and promises in your own life. Each choice carries weight, and each desire shapes your path forward. The allure of ambition can cloud judgment, but wisdom lies in understanding the consequences of those choices. So, in every thought and action, remember the lessons of Rumpelstiltskin's bargain, and be mindful of the promises you make, for they may very well define your journey. Once upon a time in a quaint village, there lived a boy named Jack. Jack was not your typical lad. He possessed an adventurous spirit that often led him on thrilling escapades. However, Jack's family found themselves in a difficult situation. Their financial resources were dwindling, and they struggled to make ends meet. One day, as Jack's mother grew increasingly worried about their future, she asked Jack to take their last cow to the market and sell it for some money. With determination, Jack set off to town, but on the way he met a peculiar old man. This man wore a tattered cloak and had a twinkle in his eye. He approached Jack and began to talk. The man spoke of wonders and dreams, captivating Jack's imagination with tales of magical beings that could reach the clouds. Enchanted by the man's words, Jack impulsively decided to trade the family's cow for a handful of these mysterious beans. Upon returning home, Jack's mother was furious when she learned of the trade. She scolded him for his foolishness and tossed the beans out of the window in frustration. Yet, overnight, something incredible happened. The beans sprouted into a towering beanstalk that reached high into the sky, disappearing into the clouds. Jack, filled with curiosity, decided to climb the beanstalk to explore the wonders above. At the top, Jack discovered a land unlike any he had ever seen. It was vibrant and full of life, with enormous castles and the scent of adventure lingering in the air. However, lurking among the beauty was a giant who possessed treasures beyond imagination. This giant owned golden eggs, a magical harp, and more wealth than Jack could fathom. Each treasure was guarded fiercely, but Jack's daring nature urged him forward. On his first visit, Jack cautiously snuck into the giant's castle. He was amazed by what he found. He immediately spotted the golden goose laying shimmering eggs. With his heart racing, he quickly pocketed one of the golden eggs and made his escape down the beanstalk. When he returned to his mother, they were overjoyed at the newfound fortune. The golden egg could sell for a fortune, providing for their needs and lifting the burden from their lives. But Jack's adventurous spirit couldn't be contained. He found himself returning to the Cloud Kingdom time and again, each time taking more treasures. He was drawn to the magical harp that played enchanting melodies, and the golden goose that never stopped laying its precious eggs. Each successful foray gave him a thrill, but also introduced a moral complexity to his story. After all, was it right to steal from a creature, even if it was a giant? Jack felt a tug at his conscience, but dismissed it for the thrill of adventure and the needs of his family. As Jack continued to pilfer from the giant's vast treasures, the giant, feeling the loss, became suspicious. He soon discovered that his belongings were being stolen and began searching for the sneaky thief. The tales of Jack's heroism began to shift into whispers of theft and disrepute. However, Jack persisted, clinging to his justification that he was simply borrowing what belonged to someone who obviously had more than enough to share. But one fateful evening, as Jack once again entered the giant's castle, things took a dramatic turn. The giant was alert this time and caught Jack in the act. The ground shook beneath Jack's feet as the giant approached, questioning Jack's audacity. Jack's heart raced. He had crossed a line, and now he had to face the reality of his actions. In a moment of quick thinking, Jack grabbed the magical harp and sprinted towards the beanstalk. The giant, furious, roared and chased after him, creating a chaotic scene. Jack raced down the beanstalk, with the giant's footsteps thundering behind him. Reaching the bottom, Jack called for his mother to fetch an axe. As the giant reached the ground, Jack saw the fearsome creature ready to claim him. With a swing of the axe, Jack cut the beanstalk down. The giant lost his footing and tumbled back into the clouds, never to be seen again. Amid the tumult, Jack realized that while his intentions to help his family were noble, his means of doing so had come from a place of greed and theft. He and his mother now possessed the legendary treasures, yet the thrill of victory was laced with guilt. In time, the family used their newfound riches to improve their lives. They rebuilt their home, helped those in need, and ensured that no one in their village would suffer as they once did. Jack learned valuable lessons about right and wrong, the weight of one's choices, and the effects they can have on others. Although he had embarked on his journey for his family's welfare, it is clear that the line between right and wrong can blur when adventure and desire take the helm. Jack's tale serves to remind us that while the allure of adventure is tempting, it is crucial to tread carefully and consider the implications of our actions. In folklore, Jack's journey illustrates not only a thrilling adventure, but also a moral lesson about accountability, the consequences of our choices, and the sometimes blurry lines between right and wrong. Through Jack, we are invited to reflect on our own stories, the challenges we face, and the paths we choose in pursuit of our dreams. In the end, it is not just the treasures we seek, but also the values we uphold along the way that truly matter in our journey through life. Pinocchio's journey is filled with countless adventures, twists, and turns that go far beyond the whimsical retellings we often see today. Originally penned by Carlo Collodi in the late 19th century, Pinocchio's tale is a rich tapestry of trials and tribulations, crafted to impart serious lessons about morality and the consequences of one's actions. The original narrative embraces a darker, more perilous tone, showcasing a world where the stakes are high and the lessons learned are deeply impactful. In the beginning, Pinocchio is not merely a wooden puppet striving to become a real boy. His character is a reflection of imperfections, embodying the flaws we all possess. He is often impetuous, mischievous, and quite disobedient. As he navigates the complex world around him, he faces a myriad of dangers that are both vivid and alarming. The initial chapters serve as a stark reminder of the challenges that come with straying from the path of virtue. One of the earliest incidents that illustrates the perils Pinocchio faces occurs when he meets the devious cat and fox. These characters represent deception and betrayal, leading him down a road filled with moral compromise. They promise him great fortune and fame, enticing him with visions of grandeur that appeal to his desires. However, their intentions are far from noble, and their manipulation leads to dire consequences. This encounter teaches the important lesson of trusting in one's intuition and the dangers of succumbing to greed. Another striking aspect of Pinocchio's original adventures is his frequent brushes with danger. The young puppet often finds himself in troublesome situations that can be alarming. For instance, when he is captured and nearly sold by the puppet master, he learns about exploitation and the darker side of ambition. Unlike the cheerful portrayals seen in adaptations, Collodi's work offers a candid exploration of the cruelty that exists in the world. Through these trials, readers are reminded that not everyone has good intentions, and discernment is vital. The dangers Pinocchio faces manifest in more violent ways as well. There are moments in the original tale that depict him suffering physical punishments for his misdeeds, an element often glossed over in modern adaptations. For example, at one point, he is hanged by the cat and the fox as punishment for his naivete. This shocking scene serves to reinforce the seriousness of his actions and the gravity of his lessons. Through such intense moments, the story underscores the importance of accountability and the consequences that arise from poor choices. As his adventures continue, Pinocchio encounters horrific beasts and treacherous situations that challenge his courage and integrity. There are instances where he faces fearsome figures, such as the monstrous shark that swallows him whole. This event symbolizes an encounter with one's deepest fears, reflecting the idea that true growth often comes from facing the unknown. It is not just a tale about becoming a real boy, it also explores resilience and personal strength as Pinocchio confronts each trial head-on. Another memorable occasion occurs when Pinocchio attends the Land of Toys, a seemingly magical place where children can indulge in endless fun without responsibility. However, beneath this enchanting surface, a harsh reality awaits. The boys who inhabit this land are transformed into donkeys, a vivid metaphor for losing one's humanity due to indulgence and irresponsibility. This transformation serves as a powerful reminder of the dangers of hedonism and the importance of maintaining one's identity in the face of temptation. Throughout these escapades, Pinocchio ultimately learns that every action has a reaction, and the narrative continually reinforces the value of honesty, bravery, and self-awareness. The trials he encounters act as catalysts for his growth, guiding him toward understanding the impact of his choices on himself and those around him. Each peril stands as a testament to the notion that hardship can lead to valuable insights and personal evolution. In conclusion, Pinocchio's original adventures present a captivating, albeit darker, narrative filled with powerful lessons. The harsh realities he faces serve to emphasize the importance of morality, responsibility, and the perils of straying from the right path. Through vivid scenarios and formidable challenges, the tale remains timeless, reminding us that amidst darkness, the possibility for growth and redemption is always present. Each experience shapes Pinocchio, guiding him closer to understanding what it truly means to be alive and what it entails to make choices that matter. The essence of the original story lies not just in entertainment, but in the profound truths it conveys, weaving a fabric of wisdom that resonates across generations. Alice's Wonderland, penned by Lewis Carroll, offers an intricate and whimsical journey through the bizarre and often nonsensical world of Wonderland. Yet beneath its playful surface lies a rich tapestry of satire, particularly targeting the rigid structures and social conventions of Victorian society. This critique permeates the story and is woven into the fabric of its characters, absurdities, and plot developments. As readers are introduced to Alice, they find a curious young girl whose inquisitive nature often challenges the prescribed norms of her era. Victorian society prized strict hierarchy, decorum, and a designated place for everyone. Alice's incessant questioning, often met with perplexing replies or outright absurdity, embodies the youthful rebellion against societal expectations. For instance, when she converses with the Cheshire Cat, who famously states that everyone in Wonderland is mad, we see a reflection of the entrenched foolishness within the rigid societal structures of the time. The cat's assurance that it doesn't matter which path one takes highlights the futility of rigid social paths imposed on individuals. The characters that populate Wonderland serve as exaggerated caricatures of Victorian society. Take, for example, the Queen of Hearts, who demands order and obedience through her tyrannical rule. Her frequent outbursts of "off with their heads" symbolize the arbitrary and often harsh nature of power. This reflects the oppression experienced by those who broke from societal norms or dared to critique the status quo. In this context, the Queen's unreasonable expectations represent the severe consequences of nonconformity during the Victorian era. The threat of penalty for just being oneself echoes the high stakes that many faced when trying to navigate the complexities of social acceptance. The Mad Hatter's Tea Party is another vivid instance of this satire. At this chaotic gathering, time is portrayed as an adversary, a relentless force that everyone is trying to escape. The nonsensical conversations at the table disrupt the flow of logic, perfectly mirroring the contradictions and absurdities of Victorian social customs. Although protocols dominated social interaction, the Tea Party reveals how discussions could often lead nowhere, emphasizing the pointlessness of rigid adherence to social rules. Here, Carroll cleverly critiques how structured societal norms can render authentic communication meaningless. Moreover, the trial of the Knave of Hearts, who is accused of stealing tarts, serves as a satire of the legal system inherent in Victorian England. The absurdity of the trial, where evidence is disregarded and rules are twisted, illustrates the often arbitrary nature of justice. The characters behave more like caricatures than relatable figures, revealing how those in authority can manipulate laws and rules around their own biases. Through this lens, Carroll questions the integrity of societal institutions and the reliability of those who enforce them. Alice's encounters in Wonderland also highlight the constraints imposed upon women during the Victorian period. The shifting identities and sizes that she experiences can be seen as symbolic of the societal pressures that women faced to conform to specific roles. As she grows and shrinks, she experiences moments of empowerment and disempowerment, mirroring the struggle against the societal expectations placed on women. Carroll's depiction of her internal conflict resonates deeply with the challenges faced by women striving for independence and self-definition in an era characterized by strict gender roles. Ultimately, Alice's adventures in Wonderland present a microcosm of the wider world. The nonsensical rules, ridiculous characters, and ludicrous situations peel back the layers of Victorian society, exposing its absurdity. Through playful wordplay and fantastical imagery, Carroll invites readers to question the values, beliefs, and practices that govern everyday life. The whimsy of Wonderland compels us to reflect on the structures we often take for granted, and challenges us to reconsider the arbitrary rules we choose to follow. In the enchanting yet confounding realm of Wonderland, Lewis Carroll successfully blends entertainment with insight, inviting readers to engage with deeper themes that resonate with human experience. The satire, embedded in Alice's journey, encourages a playful contemplation of societal norms, urging us to liberate our minds from the bounds of conventional thinking. In doing so, Carroll's work remains timeless, encouraging future generations to contemplate the nature of their own societies while igniting their imaginations with the wonders that lie beyond the ordinary. Alice's Wonderland stands as a profound commentary on the complexities of life, urging each one of us to approach the world with curiosity and a critical eye, all while reveling in the beauty of the absurd. Once upon a time, In the depths of the ocean, there lived a young mermaid with a beautiful voice and dreams as vast as the sea. Beneath the shimmering waves, she often gazed longingly at the world above, enchanted by the stories of sailors and the glimmering stars twinkling in the night sky. Her heart yearned for more than the underwater life she knew. It yearned for the land and the people who walked upon it. One fated day, during a stormy night, she saved a handsome prince from drowning. As the waves crashed and foamed around them, she pulled him to safety, her heart pounding not just from the exertion, but from the magnetic pull she felt towards him. After ensuring his safety, she retreated into the depths of the sea, watching as he awoke on the shore, gazing into the distance, unknowingly longing for her too. Her longing grew unbearable. She often visited the surface, singing sweet melodies that danced through the air above the water, hoping he might hear her. These songs were not just notes, they were confessions of her love, filled with dreams and wishes. However, the prince remained unaware of her presence, captivated instead by the beauty of the world and the fleeting moments he experienced. In a world where magic often comes with a price, the mermaid sought help from a powerful sea witch. The witch was a strange and mysterious figure who spoke in riddles and held the secrets of the ocean in her grasp. The mermaid approached her with hope in her heart, willing to pay any price to experience the land she longed for. The witch offered her a deal. She could exchange her beautiful voice for legs, allowing her to walk on the earth. But there was a catch, a heavy price. While the mermaid would gain the ability to be with the prince, she would also endure great pain with every step she took. It was a sacrifice that weighed heavily on her heart. Despite the pain that awaited her, the mermaid made her choice. With a wave of the witch's hand, she watched her voice drift away like bubbles rising to the surface, a beautiful, intangible thing now lost forever. As she emerged from the water, legs replacing her tail, she felt the warmth of the sun and the cool breeze flow over her skin. Excitement coursed through her, but so did fear, for she knew now that her journey was not without suffering. The mermaid approached the prince, who was enamored by her beauty and her grace, although he remained oblivious to the sacrifices she made for him. She danced in the sunlight, every step sending shards of pain through her legs, yet her determination never wavered. She sought to capture his heart, mesmerized by laughter and dreams that danced between them. They shared adventures, exploring the land and discovering each other, but she could not share the depths of her heart, for without her voice, she lacked the means to express the very essence of her feelings. Days turned into weeks, and while the prince enjoyed her company, he eventually grew enamored with another, a princess from a distant kingdom. This beautiful woman possessed everything the mermaid could not: a rich background, family ties, and the voice to express her own emotions freely. Heartache washed over the mermaid like a tidal wave, crashing against the shores of her dreams, increasingly aware that the love she fought for was now slipping through her fingers. In her heart, the mermaid faced a storm of emotions. Unrequited love mingled with despair and longing. Yet, as the days turned into evenings filled with poignant sunsets, she understood that love does not always guarantee happiness. Her love story was marked by sacrifice. She had given up her voice, her identity, and her comforts to chase a dream that was perhaps never meant to be. The sea witch had provided one final option. If the mermaid wished, she could return to the ocean, regaining her voice and her life beneath the waves. Yet it would mean accepting a heart-wrenching choice. If she chose this path, she would need to sacrifice her existence in the world of the living. The thought weighed heavily on her heart. Would she choose to return to the familiar depths of the ocean and abandon her love? Or would she stay, carrying the burden of longing for something she could never fully attain? Feeling the depths of her sorrow, the mermaid made her decision. With tears in her eyes, she watched the prince and the princess together, understanding that sometimes love means letting go. In that moment of clarity, she realized her destiny would not be defined by her ability to possess love, but by her ability to love deeply and selflessly. She chose freedom, choosing to dissolve into the waves, where every note of her lost melody would echo through the ocean, a testament to her sacrifice and the sacrifices many make for love. In the realm of myth and folklore, this tale endures, reminding us that not all stories end with jubilation. Sacrifice plays a role in the fabric of love. It teaches us about the beauty of giving oneself entirely to another, even when it does not yield the outcome we desire. The Little Mermaid's journey is a reflection of the human experience, capturing the essence of dreams, love, and the pain that often accompanies the pursuit of something greater than ourselves. Thumbelina, a beloved character from Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tale, is often celebrated for her enchanting journey, but also carries significant proto-feminist themes that resonate through her story. From the moment she is born from a tiny flower, she is set on a path filled with challenges, often shaped by the desires and choices of the male characters around her. However, while her journey is influenced by these external forces, it also serves as a powerful commentary on independence and personal choice within a male-dominated society. At the heart of Thumbelina's story is her quest for autonomy. She is constantly being pursued and, quote, rescued by various male characters who vie for her attention, from the toad who wants to marry her to the mole and the sparrow. Each of these characters sees Thumbelina not as an independent individual, but as an object of desire, a prize to be won. This reflects a societal tendency to define women's roles through the lens of male perspectives and desires. However, Thumbelina's responses to these encounters showcase her resilience and her desire for autonomy. Rather than simply accepting her fate, she resists the advances of her suitors, illustrating the importance of choice in shaping one's own destiny. Throughout her adventures, Thumbelina demonstrates an unwavering spirit. Every time she encounters a situation that seeks to limit her freedom, she finds a way to assert her independence. For instance, when the toad intends to force her into marriage, she cleverly manages to escape, using her small size to her advantage. This act of defiance is not just a testament to her cleverness, but a broader message about the importance of self-agency. In a world that often tries to dictate her path, Thumbelina consistently chooses to carve out her own. The theme of independence is further emphasized in her relationships. While she encounters characters who wish to control her narrative, she ultimately seeks companionship that respects her individuality. Her bond with the tiny flower folk, who accept her as she is, contrasts sharply with the more domineering male characters. This reflects a broader societal commentary on the importance of supportive relationships that empower women, rather than those that attempt to confine or define them. Moreover, Thumbelina represents the idea of choosing love on one's own terms. Though she meets several suitors, her heart is not swayed by their initial claims of desire. It is only at the end of her journey that she finds a true companion, a prince who is also small like her. This relationship blooms naturally and is built on mutual respect and shared experiences rather than coercion or expectation. It signifies a progressive view of love where both parties are equals, highlighting the importance of choice in romantic relationships. The story also serves as a reminder of the broader context in which women in society often find themselves. Thumbelina's experiences can be seen as an allegory for the constraints many women face, where personal agency is often overshadowed by societal expectations and norms. Thumbelina's eventual triumph in finding her own path signifies hope for future generations, illustrating that while the journey may be fraught with challenges, it is possible to assert one's individuality and desires. Furthermore, the settings in which Thumbelina finds herself shed light on the contrast between personal freedom and societal restriction. Her adventures take her from the confines of her home to the vastness of nature, which both threatens and liberates her. Nature, in many ways, symbolizes a space where she can truly be herself and embrace her identity without the constraints imposed by the suitors and their ambitions. The natural world reflects the potential for renewal and change, offering Thumbelina a profound sense of belonging that transcends the restrictions of societal norms. Ultimately, Thumbelina serves as an inspiring representation of proto-feminist themes. Through her journey of self-discovery and independence within a male-dominated society, she embodies the struggle for personal choice and agency. The story encourages readers to reflect on their own autonomy and the power of choice in their lives. It emphasizes that each individual, regardless of their size or circumstance, has the ability to carve out their own destiny. Thumbelina's story invites us to embrace our uniqueness and to pursue our paths with courage and determination. By championing independence and the importance of choice, this timeless tale continues to resonate, inspiring countless generations to seek a world where everyone is free to write their own stories. Once upon a time, in the enchanted woods, there lived a frog who was anything but ordinary. He spent his days hopping from one lily pad to another, yearning for something beyond the still waters of his pond. The tale of the Frog Prince has captivated hearts for generations, but this story delves deeper into the variations and themes that intertwine identity and transformation in relationships. First, consider how the character of the frog can represent various aspects of ourselves. In many interpretations, he is seen as a symbol of hidden potential. Just like a caterpillar transforms into a beautiful butterfly, the frog embodies the idea that beneath the surface may lie an incredible transformation waiting to be discovered. This theme encourages us to explore our inner selves, reminding us that everyone's identity is multifaceted. Perhaps we all have a hidden prince or princess waiting to emerge from within us. Now let's examine the role of the princess in this tale. Often portrayed as beautiful and seemingly perfect, she sees a frog but is later introduced to the idea that what is outwardly apparent does not define the whole being. When she interacts with the frog, her perception begins to shift. The relationship acts as a catalyst for personal growth, allowing both characters to experience a deeper understanding of themselves and each other. This transformation is not merely physical. It represents emotional and intellectual evolution as well. In many versions of the tale, a crucial moment occurs when the princess shows compassion towards the frog. The act of kindness not only plays a vital role in the transformation of the frog, but also signifies the importance of empathy and connection in every relationship. These characteristics foster an environment in which true identity can flourish. Imagine the impact it would have if, in our own lives, we took the time to understand others beyond their exterior. This can lead to profound changes, both for them and for ourselves. One of the fascinating aspects of these variations in the Frog Prince tale is the notion that transformation can come in various forms. In some stories, the frog remains a frog, and the princess learns to appreciate him for who he is. This challenges the conventional idea of transformation being solely about physical changes. Instead, it invites us to consider that acceptance and love can thrive without dramatic shifts. It prompts questions about our own relationships. Do we truly appreciate our loved ones as they are, or are we waiting for them to become something else? Additionally, the frog's journey is about more than just romantic love. It can symbolize friendships, familial bonds, and even self-love. Each relationship we nurture requires understanding, acceptance, and often a willingness to see beyond the surface. The different versions of the Frog Prince illustrate that identity is fluid and can often change based on our interactions with others. Let's not overlook the role of external perceptions. In many stories, the kingdom or society views the frog as undesirable, further adding to the theme of identity. This external judgment challenges our characters to confront their realities, much like we do in our lives. We might face stereotypes or assumptions based on our appearance or past actions that cloud the views others have of us. The frog, much like many individuals today, navigates these misunderstandings and learns that inner value far outweighs outer appearances. In conclusion, the tale of the Frog Prince invites us to reflect on the myriad ways our identities are shaped by our interactions and relationships. Through empathy and understanding, transformation can occur not just on the outside, but also on deeper, more meaningful personal levels. Just as the frog turns into a prince, or perhaps teaches a princess to appreciate him for who he is, each of us has the ability to connect, grow, and evolve in ways that honor both ourselves and those around us. The story reminds us that every relationship holds potential for transformation, leading to the revelation that the essence of our identities is often more complex than it appears on the surface. And through all these reflections, we can emerge with new insights, fostering greater connections and nurturing the beauty of personal growth in every relationship we cherish. Once upon a time, in a land filled with enchantment and adventure, there existed a clever feline known as Puss in Boots. At first glance, one might think that strength and might are the most valuable traits, those that could conquer any foe or overcome any challenge. However, Puss in Boots had a different perspective. He believed that wit and intelligence were the real tools that could lead to success and triumph. To understand his clever strategy, let us delve into Puss's story. He was no ordinary cat. He was skilled in the arts of cunning and strategy. The adventures of Puss in Boots demonstrate how cleverness can reign supreme over raw power. Let's explore some highlights of this remarkable tale. In the beginning, Puss was entrusted to a simple miller who had little to offer. The miller's son inherited only Puss, who soon proved to be no ordinary pet. With his fashionable boots and charming demeanor, Puss devised a clever plan to change their fortunes. He understood that if he were to elevate his master's status, they would need a clever approach, not brute force. Puss quickly formulated a scheme. He approached a local nobleman and presented a plump rabbit, claiming it was a gift from his master, the Marquis of Carabas. The nobleman was impressed by the lavish gift and the cat's confidence, demonstrating that it was not merely the expensive gift that held worth, but the smooth delivery and clever presentation. As Puss continued to make his way in society, he realized that building relationships was fundamental. He understood that intelligence often lies in the connections one makes. By forging alliances with influential figures, Puss opened doors that would have otherwise been closed. This taught an invaluable lesson. Sometimes, knowledge and prattling with the right people can be more effective than one's physical prowess. The classic encounter with the fearsome ogre was another testament to Puss's crafty strategies. As most would tremble in fear of such a powerful adversary, Puss saw an opportunity. Recognizing that brute strength was not the answer, he cleverly tricked the ogre into transforming himself into a tiny mouse. In an instant, Puss pounced on the ogre-turned mouse and had him for dinner. This episode signifies that thinking ahead and employing ingenuity could triumph over intimidation and chaos. Furthermore, Puss began to mold the narrative of who his master was, crafting a grand persona for the miller's son. Through his clever actions and constructed tales, Puss ensured that the son was perceived as a wealthy noble, thereby enhancing their stature among the villagers and beyond. This indicates that perception can often change reality, and intelligence can shape outcomes to one's favor. What makes Puss in Boots particularly engaging is not just his clever strategizing, but also his resourcefulness. Throughout his journey, he encountered multiple challenges, yet each time he found a way to turn them to his advantage. For example, when faced with obstacles, he used his surroundings creatively. He would manipulate situations to catch his enemies off guard, transforming potential threats into opportunities. Puss exemplifies the idea that the best plans often involve turning adversities into advantages. Puss in Boots demonstrates that embracing creativity can lead to extraordinary results. Beyond brawn, it is the imaginative solutions to problems that truly set him apart. He had the ability to think on his feet, adapting to new circumstances and using what he had at his disposal. This highlights the importance of being flexible and inventive, teaching us that innovative thinking is often the most potent weapon. In the end, Puss's endeavors rewarded him handsomely. He not only improved the lives of himself and the miller's son, but also developed characters around him, demonstrating that life rewards those who think boldly and share their gifts with others. His intelligence led him not only to wealth and status, but also to friendship and respect. Puss in Boots leaves us with timeless wisdom. Cleverness can outmaneuver strength, and intelligence can lead to profound success. It reminds us that we should appreciate the power of strategic thinking and resourcefulness in our own lives. Embracing courage and using our minds can inspire change, foster incredible journeys, and ultimately lead to our own fulfilling adventures. So, whether you are navigating the challenges of your daily routine or pursuing larger dreams, remember the tale of Puss in Boots and the clever strategies he applied. Insight, creativity, and intelligence can open doors and create magnificent paths, showing that the cunning mind is indeed a warrior's greatest ally. With each clever thought and imaginative idea, you too can carve your own remarkable story in the world. Once upon a time, in the enchanting world of storytelling, a collection of tales known as Alf Laila Walaila, or the 1001 Nights, emerged. This influential narrative was not just a simple compilation of stories. It served as a mirror, reflecting the culture and rich tapestry of the societies that told and retold these tales. Among the captivating stories within this collection, the tale of Aladdin stands out, encapsulating significant cultural shifts that occurred over centuries. Originally, Aladdin was a character introduced in a version of the story that was not part of the original Arabic manuscript. Instead, a French translator named Antoine Galland brought him to life when he encountered this tale during his travels. This moment marked a transition, as the story made its way into European fairy tales and began to evolve, melding with various cultural elements. As it crossed borders, Aladdin became a symbol representing not just adventure, but the power of imagination and the blend of cultures. At its core, Aladdin's story is one of transformation. The narrative showcases a young man living in a Chinese city, showcasing the inclusivity of cultural elements within storytelling. While the tale originated in the Middle Eastern region, It portrayed the essence of cultural diffusion, weaving together artistic and folkloric traditions that spanned continents. The portrayal of characters, settings, and magical elements reflects both the Islamic Golden Age, characterized by advancements in science and literature, and the European Enlightenment period that valued exploration and innovation. The defining artifact of this tale is undoubtedly the magical lamp, which holds the powerful genie capable of granting wishes. This genie has become a cultural icon in its own right. From the fiery examples of oral tradition to the lavishly animated characters in modern adaptations, the genie represents the human desire for fulfillment and the belief in the extraordinary. Over time, it has come to symbolize the dreams and aspirations that people harbor deep within themselves, transcending the original cultural context and resonating with audiences across various backgrounds. As Aladdin's story was adapted into various forms of media, including films, stage plays, and literature, it underwent significant cultural reinterpretation. The 1992 animated movie, for instance, showcased not only the adventures of Aladdin, but also emphasized the importance of friendship, love, and bravery. This shift represented changing societal values, highlighting the balance between aspiration and moral integrity. These modern interpretations have invited audiences to engage with the characters on a deeper emotional level, transforming what was once a simple tale into a rich narrative about personal growth. Moreover, in the realm of fashion, architecture, and even culinary arts, Aladdin's story has inspired vibrant artistic endeavors. The imagery of bustling bazaars, colorful markets, and majestic palaces unlocked a window into the beauty of Arabic culture, captivating the imaginations of people worldwide. By visually interpreting these cultural symbols, artists and designers have bridged gaps between societies, fostering a sense of appreciation for different traditions and ways of life. Through its many adaptations, the tale showcases just how powerful storytelling can be in creating cross-cultural connections. As we engage with the story of Aladdin, we see how folklore and cultural heritage are dynamic. Every retelling is influenced by current societal norms, beliefs, and values. In the West, themes of freedom, autonomy, and adventure have come to dominate interpretations of Aladdin. Meanwhile, in Eastern adaptations, cultural pride and responsibility often play a more pronounced role. These evolving facets of the tale underscore the complexity of culture itself, reflecting the constant dance between tradition and progress. In the globalized world we inhabit today, stories like Aladdin continue to capture our hearts and minds, illustrating the importance of cultural exchange. The blending of traditions enriches our understanding of humanity and reminds us of our shared dreams, regardless of geographical boundaries. From grand palaces to the humble streets where Aladdin first encountered his destiny, these stories teach us about the value of empathy, hope, and perseverance. Aladdin's journey serves as a timeless reminder that, while cultures may differ, the essence of human experience, dreams, love, and adventure, remains strikingly similar across the globe. By embracing these cultural shifts, we not only pay homage to the origins of this beloved tale, but also allow it to evolve as it resonates with new generations. It is through these shared stories that we weave a collective narrative, one that departs from the pages of history and finds its roots in our hearts and imaginations. Thus, the story of Aladdin transcends its origins, evolving into a cultural phenomenon that continues to inspire artists, writers, and dreamers. Each telling, whether in ancient markets or bustling modern cities, is a testament to the shared imagination of a world that dances with possibilities. The magic of storytelling lies in its ability to transform, to connect, and to resonate, proving that adventures can take us beyond the confines of reality into realms where dreams can truly come alive. Aladdin's legacy is a celebration of this possibility, lighting the path toward a brighter and more imaginative future. The Snow Queen, a captivating fairy tale by Hans Christian Andersen, often captivates audiences with its enchanting narrative and memorable characters. However, beneath its surface lies a rich subtext that explores profound themes of empathy and emotional intelligence in relationships. The story unfolds as a dual journey of two main characters, Gerda and Kai, highlighting how understanding and connection can bridge even the coldest divides. At first glance, the narrative centers around the Snow Queen, an enigmatic figure who casts a spell over Kai, turning his heart cold. As he becomes ensnared by the icy world she embodies, he loses his ability to feel and connect with those around him. This transformation signifies the impact of emotional detachment, illustrating how easy it is for individuals to become isolated when they shut themselves off from genuine emotions. It serves as a reminder that empathy is essential for building relationships and understanding others. Gerda, on the other hand, represents warmth, compassion, and emotional intelligence. Her unwavering determination to save Kai embodies the essence of empathy. Throughout her journey, Gerda encounters various characters, each reflecting different aspects of emotional awareness. For instance, she meets a flower girl who teaches her about the beauty of nature's connections and the importance of appreciating life's simple joys. This encounter showcases how empathy can flourish through shared experiences, reminding us that genuine understanding often arises from the connections we make along the way. The story reveals that love and emotional connections are not always straightforward. As Gerda bravely faces numerous challenges, her ability to empathize helps her navigate the complexities of her quest. She learns that emotional intelligence is not just about feelings, but involves recognizing, understanding, and responding to the emotional states of others. In her relentless search for Kai, Gerda embodies the principle that true love is akin to an inner strength that propels one to connect deeply, despite the barriers. A striking moment in the tale occurs when Gerda encounters the band of robbers. Instead of meeting their aggression with fear, she appeals to their emotions. Her empathy allows her to connect with the youngest robber girl, who has experienced loneliness and isolation. This interaction underscores the idea that emotions can be contagious. The warmth of Gerda's understanding begins to soften the hardened hearts around her. This scene illustrates how vulnerability and empathy can break down even the most formidable emotional walls. The Snow Queen symbolizes the extreme of emotional isolation, highlighting the dangers of neglecting one's emotional well-being. This character represents the fog of indifference that can envelop individuals when they choose to retreat into their own icy worlds. As Kai succumbs to the Snow Queen's grasp, he exemplifies how a lack of emotional awareness leads to an inability to connect with loved ones. The struggle to regain his heart becomes an allegory for the broader human condition. Often we can feel lost and disconnected when emotions are suppressed or dismissed. Ultimately, Gerda's journey reflects a transformative power that stems from empathy and emotional intelligence. Her unwavering belief in the goodness of love forces her to face formidable obstacles, yet each trial makes her stronger. Her ability to empathize enables her to forge connections that transcend barriers, showcasing that understanding others is crucial in nurturing meaningful relationships. This fairy tale teaches an essential lesson. Emotional intelligence is not just about managing our own feelings, but also involves the understanding and acknowledgement of others' emotions. It demonstrates how we can be architects of our relationships through compassion and empathy. Through Gerda's lens of emotional intelligence, we are reminded that every act of understanding can serve as a bridge across chasms of misunderstanding and emotional disconnection. As the story closes, we find Gerda breaking the Snow Queen's spell with her tears, which symbolize profound empathy. Her tears are not just grief, but a manifestation of her love and emotional intelligence. They reveal that emotions are not weaknesses, but rather strengths that facilitate connection. The transformation of Kai, when he finally sees the beauty of Gerda's heart and is roused from his cold state, culminates in a powerful reminder. Empathy enriches our lives in innumerable ways. In essence, The Snow Queen is much more than a tale about ice and snow. It is a heartfelt exploration of the intricate dance of empathy and emotional intelligence in relationships. Through the characters' journeys, we learn that true connection stems from understanding one another deeply, validating our emotions, and reaching out to those in need. Anderson's timeless narrative teaches us that no matter how cold the world may seem, warmth can always be found in the connections forged through love and empathy. Once upon a time, in a cozy nursery filled with toys, there was a little rabbit made of soft, velvety fabric. This rabbit was not just any ordinary toy. He was the Velveteen rabbit, and his journey was one of love and transformation. Children often play with their toys, imbuing them with life, and in this story, we witness how love can bring about profound changes. At first, the Velveteen rabbit sat on the shelf among other toys, feeling a sense of longing to be held and cherished. One day, a little boy came into the nursery and picked him up, showing him the kind of affection that every toy dreams of. The boy would cuddle him during story time, sharing secrets and laughter. In those moments, the rabbit felt something awakening within him, something that would make him feel real. As the days passed, the little boy and the Velveteen rabbit began to form a unique bond. They explored the world of imagination together, going on adventures where the rabbit became a fearless hero. To the boy, he was not just a lifeless toy, but a true friend who could share in his joys and sorrows. This deep connection infused the rabbit with a sense of purpose, pushing him toward change. Love, as it turns out, can make even simple fabric feel alive. One day, the boy became ill, and in his need for comfort, he clutched the Velveteen rabbit tightly. During this time, the rabbit learned that love, in its purest form, can bring about vulnerability. He felt the warmth of the boy's affection more than ever as he listened to the boy's whispers and felt every heartbeat. This closeness was transformative, filling the rabbit with emotions he had never experienced before. Through love, the Velveteen rabbit began to understand the essence of being real. It wasn't merely about being made of soft fabrics or having shiny eyes. The experiences they shared, playing in the sunlight or hiding away in the blankets on rainy days, contributed to a deeper understanding of what it means to be treasured. It was in the moments of laughter, tears, and support that the rabbit realized he was becoming more than just a toy. He was evolving into something meaningful and cherished. As time went on, the little boy grew attached to the rabbit, and the two shared countless adventures filled with laughter and joy. They built imaginary worlds together, where the rabbit would lead everyone into enchanted forests and magical gardens. It was through these shared experiences that the rabbit learned what it truly meant to love and be loved. Love transformed him into a source of joy, comfort, and companionship. However, change was just around the corner. One day, the little boy brought the Velveteen rabbit outside to play in the garden. The sun was shining, and the grass was soft beneath their feet. It was a day unlike any other, and the rabbit felt free and alive. But something unexpected happened. The boy's mother called for them, and as a new toy came into the picture, the Velveteen rabbit feared being forgotten. But love has a way of conquering fears. When the boy's attention shifted, the rabbit reminded himself of their shared history. He held on to the moments they spent together, clinging to the reality that their bond would remain strong, despite the presence of new distractions. In love, there is resilience, a trait often overlooked yet critical. As the seasons changed and the boy began to grow older, the Velveteen rabbit found himself in the midst of transformation again. He was no longer the shiny new toy, but a beloved friend, worn and tattered from countless adventures. In his weariness, he discovered a new kind of beauty, a beauty marked by memories, love, and transformation. The rabbit's heart swelled with pride, for he had embraced change, knowing that true love remains constant through the ebbs and flows of life. Then came a day when the boy was preparing to go away, leaving behind the toys he had once adored. But to the Velveteen rabbit, this was not a goodbye. He understood that love creates everlasting connections that transcend time and space. The rabbit felt a sense of peace, knowing the boy would carry him in his heart, forever transformed by their journey. Eventually, the Velveteen rabbit found himself in a garden filled with wildflowers. In the magical world of nature, he realized he was not alone. As he gazed upon the beauty around him, he saw rabbits that looked just like him, except they were real, and so a transformation occurred. His heart was filled with joy as he embraced this new reality. He had become real, reflecting the love that had nurtured him throughout his journey. This tale of the Velveteen rabbit speaks to the power of love and how it can transform us in unexpected ways. Love is a gift that reshapes our essence, deepens our connections, and helps us evolve into our truest selves. In the end, it is love that lends us a sense of realness, making us feel alive in a world full of wonders, challenges, and beautiful transformations. So let us celebrate the love that connects us all, continuously transforming who we are, one gentle heartbeat at a time. The Wizard of Oz, written by L. Frank Baum and published in 1900, is often celebrated as a timeless story, filled with enchanting characters and a whimsical journey. However, beneath the vibrant surface of this beloved tale lies a rich tapestry of allegory that speaks to the political and economic issues of late 19th century America. This narrative is more than just the adventures of Dorothy and her friends. It mirrors the struggles and aspirations of a nation during a transformative period in history. To comprehend the allegory embedded in The Wizard of Oz, one must first understand the context of the time. The late 1800s were marked by significant changes in American society, including rapid industrialization, the rise of big business, and vast economic inequality. farmers and workers faced numerous challenges, including falling prices for crops, a lack of access to credit, and exploitation by monopolies. In the midst of these changes, the story of Dorothy's journey becomes a powerful symbol of the quest for identity and justice. Dorothy, the protagonist, symbolizes the average American. She begins her journey in Kansas, depicted as a place of hardship and simplicity. Kansas represents the struggles of rural Americans who felt forgotten amid the booming industrial cities. The tornado that whisks Dorothy away to the magical land of Oz serves as a metaphor for the tumultuous changes sweeping America, changes that uprooted lives and brought uncertainty. Upon her arrival in Oz, Dorothy encounters the Yellow Brick Road, a pathway that symbolizes the gold standard that dominated economic policy at the time. The road is paved with golden bricks, which can be seen as a reflection of the nation's fixation on gold as a monetary standard, one that favored the wealthy elite while leaving many in poverty. Dorothy's quest to reach the Emerald City, the capital of Oz, further echoes the desire of many Americans to seek prosperity and security. As Dorothy travels along the Yellow Brick Road, she meets characters who represent different groups and ideas prevalent in society. The Scarecrow, who seeks a brain, can be interpreted as the farmers of America who felt powerless and uneducated in the face of industrialization. His desire for intelligence reflects the need for knowledge and understanding in an increasingly complex world. The Tin Man, in search of a heart, symbolizes the industrial workers who were seen as lacking compassion and humanity in their labor-focused lives. His journey emphasizes the importance of empathy and connection in a rapidly changing society. The Cowardly Lion is perhaps one of the most significant characters in this hidden allegory. He represents William Jennings Bryan, a prominent political figure and advocate for the populist movement. The lion's quest for courage mirrors the struggle of many Americans to stand up against powerful corporate interests and demand reforms. This character serves as a reminder that even those who seem fearsome may face their own doubts and insecurities, reflecting the complexities of political leadership. Once in the Emerald City, Dorothy and her friends encounter the Wizard, a symbol of the political leaders of the time. The Wizard, who is revealed to be a mere mortal using tricks and illusions, represents the idea that those in power may not hold the solutions they appear to possess. The Wizard's inability to provide real assistance signifies the disillusionment many felt toward their government, as promises of prosperity seemed hollow against the realities of economic hardships. As the story unfolds, it becomes clear that the true power lies not in the Wizard, but within Dorothy and her companions. Each character learns to embrace their unique qualities, illustrating that the strength to effect change comes from within. This conclusion serves as a profound message about self-empowerment. Each individual has the capability to navigate their own path and make a difference in the world. The journey back home is pivotal. Dorothy's realization that she had the power to return all along is a poignant statement about personal agency and the importance of self-discovery. This reflects the burgeoning idea of the American spirit, one that asserts that every individual has the right and ability to forge their own destiny. In the end, The Wizard of Oz stands as a multifaceted allegory, weaving together themes of economic struggle, political disillusionment, and the quest for personal empowerment. Through Dorothy's adventures, Baum offers insights into the American experience of his time, highlighting the struggles faced by individuals while celebrating their innate strength and resilience. It encourages readers to look beyond perceptions of power and to find courage within themselves. The enduring appeal of The Wizard of Oz lies not only in its memorable characters and enchanting narrative, but also in its ability to resonate with societal challenges that continue to unfold. Each generation finds relevance in Dorothy's journey, reminding us of the importance of hope, courage, and the pursuit of dreams amidst the complexities of life. Through the lens of allegory, Baum crafts a story that transcends time, inviting readers to reflect on their paths and the power they hold to create change. The blend of fantasy and social commentary makes The Wizard of Oz a rich narrative worthy of exploration, revealing layers of meaning that capture the spirit and struggles of a pivotal moment in history. In a world that often emphasizes the importance of growing up, Peter Pan stands out as a timeless symbol of perpetual childhood. Created by J.M. Barrie, Peter Pan is not just a character. He embodies the longing to escape the burdens and responsibilities that come with adulthood. This enchanting tale invites us to explore the idea of remaining forever young, free from the weight of adult expectations. Peter Pan lives in the magical land of Neverland, a place where adventure knows no bounds and where imagination reigns supreme. It is here that children can fly, mermaids sing, and fairies sprinkle their magic dust. Neverland is a reflection of Peter's desire to detach from the realities of adult life. The vibrant and whimsical nature of this realm contrasts sharply with the structured, often monotonous existence of the grown-up world. At the heart of Peter's adventures are the Lost Boys, a group of children who, like him, have chosen to forego the complexities of adulthood. In Neverland, they are free to engage in playful battles with pirates, explore exotic landscapes, and enjoy the thrill of endless escapades. Their lives are full of excitement, creativity, and camaraderie, all elements that evoke the pure joy of childhood. This camaraderie is essential. It reminds us that relationships formed during our formative years are often filled with honesty and a sense of loyalty that echoes throughout life. However, this idyllic existence is not without its challenges. The reality of Peter's choice to remain a child comes with its own set of struggles. For instance, even in the enchanting world of Neverland, there are threats, such as Captain Hook and his crew, who represent the fears and dangers that adults face in their lives. Peter's battle against Hook symbolizes the internal conflict experienced by many who yearn for freedom yet feel the need to confront reality. This dynamic serves as a reminder that while the allure of childhood is powerful, it is not immune to challenges. The character of Wendy Darling contrasts sharply with Peter Pan. Wendy represents the nurturing, maternal side of childhood and the transition into adulthood. She embodies a connection to home and family, highlighting the sense of responsibility that often accompanies growing up. When she visits Neverland, she brings a sense of order and care, suggesting that while adventure is exhilarating, there is also comfort and stability. Wendy's eventual return home illustrates the tension between the desire for adventure and the need to grow up. She carries with her the memories of Neverland, a reminder of the joy and innocence of childhood, but she also acknowledges that life's journey continues beyond those carefree days. The theme of Peter Pan's perpetual childhood resonates with adults in various ways. The nostalgia for simpler times can be strong, and many find themselves longing for the carefree days of youth. This longing manifests in various forms, whether it's through leisure activities, hobbies, or even through connections with the younger generation. The desire to hold on to one's inner child is a prevalent theme in modern culture, seen in the charm of animated films, whimsical art, and the popularity of comic books. These mediums reveal a shared understanding that, while growing up is inevitable, it can be done without completely letting go of the delightful essence of childhood. Moreover, the character of Peter Pan inspires creative thinking and a sense of possibility. For many, he serves as a reminder to embrace imagination and curiosity, qualities that often fade in adulthood. Engaging in creative pursuits can rekindle that spark, allowing individuals to experience joy through artistic expression, storytelling, or simply daydreaming. The ability to see the world through a child's eyes can lead to innovative ideas and solutions, fostering a sense of wonder that can be beneficial not only in personal growth, but also in professional environments. Additionally, the relationships between Peter, Wendy, and the Lost Boys highlight the importance of friendship and community among children. These connections form the foundation of memorable experiences that shape individuals throughout their lives. The playful interactions and shared adventures create bonds that often last long after childhood is past. In this light, Peter Pan teaches that while one may grow older, the values of friendship, loyalty, and joy remain timeless and are fundamental to living a fulfilled life. As we reflect on Peter Pan's eternal youth, we discover a rich tapestry of themes surrounding innocence, adventure, and the bittersweet nature of growing up. The story serves as a gentle reminder that while responsibilities may weigh us down, the essence of childhood, filled with joy, imagination, and a spirit of adventure, can always be cherished and kept alive within our hearts. In embracing this balance of wonder and responsibility, we can find ways to carry the magic of childhood into our everyday lives, enriching our experiences and nurturing our souls. The Jungle Book is a collection of stories written by Rudyard Kipling, first published in 1894. While it is often perceived as a simple tale about talking animals and their adventures, beneath its surface lies a complex reflection of the British colonial experience in India during the late 19th century. The narratives contribute to the understanding of power dynamics, hierarchies, and the attitudes of colonialism that characterize the British Raj. At its core, The Jungle Book introduces a young boy named Mowgli, who is raised by a wolf pack in the heart of the jungle. This portrayal of Mowgli's journey highlights the clash between nature and civilization, a common theme in colonial literature. The jungle symbolizes the wild, untamed parts of India that the British sought to control and make, quote, civilized. Mowgli's struggles depict the challenges faced by individuals navigating different cultures and systems of power. The power dynamics within the Jungle Book are strikingly representative of the British colonial hierarchy. Characters such as Shere Khan, the majestic yet headstrong tiger, illustrate the threats and dangers that lay outside the structured society the British tried to impose. Shere Khan embodies the fierce independence of the Indian landscape and its inhabitants. Conversely, characters like Bagheera and Baloo serve as protectors and mentors to Mowgli, reflecting the paternalistic attitude prevalent among colonial powers that sought to guide and educate the savage populations of their colonies. The various animals in the jungle form a distinct social order, mirroring the rigid caste system in Indian society at the time. The wolves, who adopt Mowgli and raise him as one of their own, symbolize the indigenous communities that accepted the boy, while exemplifying the bonds and loyalties of tribes. Meanwhile, the other animals, from the cunning python Kaa to the carefree monkeys, reflect different aspects of Indian society, highlighting both collaboration and conflict, much like the interactions between colonizers and the indigenous cultures they encountered. The narrative also underscores the theme of belonging and identity. Mowgli's journey is less about seeking a personal adventure and more about understanding his place within both the animal kingdom and the human world. His duality points to the hybrid identities fostered by colonialism, where native cultures interact with those of their colonizers, often resulting in multifaceted experiences of belonging, rejection, and acceptance. One crucial character in the narrative is the Banderlog, or the monkey tribe, who represent chaos and disorder. They lack strong leadership, which can be likened to the British perspective of certain Indian communities during the Raj. The Banderlog's antics often lead to trouble, emphasizing the colonial belief that, without Western guidance, traditional societies would descend into disarray. This reflects the underlying justifications for colonial rule, that the British were there to instill order and civilization in a world perceived as barbaric. Moreover, Kipling's portrayal of nature and animals is imbued with moral lessons that correspond with the imperial goals of the time. The animals are often depicted with human-like qualities, making them capable of acting as symbols of various aspects of society. Kipling implies that while the jungle may seem chaotic, there exist certain universal truths about hierarchy and power, whether in the jungle or in the British Empire. The struggle for dominance in the jungle can be paralleled with the colonial struggle for control over India and its resources. The overarching narrative of the Jungle Book can also be seen as reflective of the colonial fears of losing control. Mowgli's conflicts with powerful animals serve as metaphors for the very real anxieties experienced by the British, who grappled with uprisings and resistance within India. Just as Mowgli finds himself caught between two worlds, the British Empire was negotiating its own identity amidst the complexities of its rule over a vast and diverse territory. In conclusion, the Jungle Book presents a rich tapestry of stories that do more than entertain. Kipling's work offers insight into the British colonial mindset through its characters and themes of power, hierarchy, and identity. The interaction between Mowgli and the various fauna of the jungle encapsulates the contradictory nature of colonial rule, where chaos and order intertwine, reflecting broader societal struggles. Through this lens, the book not only tells the story of a boy and his adventures, but also mirrors the historical context of its time, making it a profound commentary on the colonial experience and the lasting impact it had on both the colonizers and the colonized. Beauty and the Beast is a beloved fairy tale that has been retold through countless adaptations over the years. At its core, this story explores the relationship between the beautiful Belle and the Beast, a monstrous figure who imprisons her in his castle. While the narrative unfolds with themes of love, transformation, and redemption, an intriguing psychological dynamic can be examined within the context of Stockholm Syndrome. Stockholm Syndrome is a psychological phenomenon in which hostages or victims of kidnapping develop an emotional bond with their captors. This bond often leads to feelings of affection, care, or even loyalty towards the person who is essentially holding them against their will. The classic tale of Beauty and the Beast can be viewed through this lens, as Belle's relationship with the Beast includes elements that resonate with the underlying dynamics of Stockholm Syndrome. Initially, Belle finds herself in a terrifying situation. She is taken away from her family, her friends, and her familiar surroundings, brought into a world filled with uncertainty and fear. The Beast's castle is an imposing place, filled with dark corners and echoes of past sorrows. In such a daunting environment, Belle must navigate her new reality. The initial fear and anxiety that she experiences mirror the reactions typically observed in victims influenced by Stockholm Syndrome. However, as the story progresses, the dynamics of power and affection begin to shift. Belle starts to notice more nuanced aspects of the Beast's character. Beneath his gruff exterior lies a complex individual who is dealing with his own pain and isolation. This realization often serves as the first step towards the development of empathy. In psychology, this empathetic response is critical in understanding why some individuals develop feelings for their captors. When Belle recognizes the Beast's vulnerability, his loneliness, his curse, and the emotional turbulence that clouds his existence, she begins to connect with him on a deeper level. This connection evolves through small moments of companionship, such as sharing meals and engaging in conversations. These experiences break down the barriers of fear, gradually allowing Belle to see the Beast not just as a captor but as a being deserving of compassion. This shift is significant. It reflects an essential psychological transformation that can occur in relationships marked by control and submission. The ability to see the humanity in a captor is often what leads to the emotional bond seen in cases of Stockholm Syndrome. Moreover, Belle's willingness to explore the Beast's world brings about moments of intimacy that further her emotional involvement. Their shared experiences, such as the iconic scene of dancing in the ballroom, create a kind of partnership that transcends the initial captor-victim narrative. Belle's choice to venture beyond the initial fear she felt highlights her agency within the relationship. This critical act of asserting choice can be seen as a transformative moment, where her perception shifts from that of a prisoner to an individual engaged in a complex, evolving relationship. However, it is essential to note that Beauty and the Beast does intersect with themes of coercion. The nature of Belle's captivity complicates the dynamic as well, as she originally had no choice in entering the Beast's home. This element of forced confinement brings an additional layer of complexity to the relationship, raising questions about autonomy and consent. The psychological impact of being held captive can lead to conflicting emotions, thereby deeply influencing the emotional trajectory of Belle's feelings towards the Beast. In psychological terms, this phenomenon raises larger conversations about the nature of love and attachment formed under duress. Belle's initial fear can transform into affection, a hallmark of the bond often seen in Stockholm Syndrome. Yet, what ultimately separates Belle's experience from the classic definition of Stockholm Syndrome is her active participation in the relationship's development. Unlike a passive victim, Belle becomes a driving force in the evolving narrative, choosing to embrace love despite the circumstances imposed upon her. As love blossoms between Belle and the Beast, the rich theme of transformation emerges, emphasizing the potential for change in both individuals. The Beast, initially one-dimensional and fierce, begins to show kindness and gentleness, influenced by Belle's compassionate perspective. In psychological terms, this mutual transformation reflects the healing power of relationships, how understanding and compassion can reshape even the most tumultuous bonds. Ultimately, Beauty and the Beast invites viewers to reflect on the complexities of human emotions, the ways in which relationships can grow despite challenging circumstances, and the importance of empathy and understanding. While the story may contain echoes of Stockholm Syndrome, it also emphasizes themes of choice, transformation, and the innate ability to foster connection against the odds. The tale reminds us that love can be a powerful force, capable of bridging gaps between fear and understanding, even in the most unforeseen circumstances. In analyzing these profound psychological themes, we uncover not just a story of love, but a rich exploration of human resilience and compassion, urging us to see beyond the surface and recognize the deeper connections that bind us all. Once upon a time in a quaint village, there was a girl named Karen who had a deep-seated desire for lovely things. Among all the beautiful items she yearned for, her greatest wish was to possess a pair of dazzling red shoes. These shoes were unlike any other. They sparkled in the sunlight, flaunted a sleek design, and were coveted by everyone in the town. They promised not just beauty, but a kind of pleasure that comes from standing out and being adored. Karen's fascination with these shoes consumed her, pushing aside her responsibilities and the meaningful aspects of her life. Instead of focusing on her chores or her friendships, she spent her days dreaming about how the shoes would transform her. In her mind, they were her ticket to happiness and admiration. She believed that wearing them would make her the envy of every eye in the village. Finally, after saving her pennies for what felt like an eternity, Karen purchased the red shoes. The day she slipped them on, her heart raced with excitement. The shoes fit her perfectly, cradling her feet like no other. The moment she stepped outside, she turned heads. People complimented her, and she felt a thrill in her chest as she danced around the village square. She twirled and spun, captivated by the attention and admiration she received. As days passed, however, a peculiar change began to take place. With every step in her mesmerizing shoes, Karen found herself increasingly entranced by their allure. She became more focused on impressing others, her thoughts dominated by how she appeared rather than who she truly was. The shoes brought her a surge of confidence, but it quickly twisted into obsession. She began neglecting her friends and dismissing the simple joys of life that had once filled her heart with delight. Caught up in her vanity, Karen started to dance without restraint, often ignoring the world around her. She lost track of time and responsibility, drawn into a whirlwind of glamour that left her feeling isolated. What once began as innocent joy transformed into a burden. The shoes had a life of their own. They compelled her to dance even when she wished to stop. Night and day, they beckoned her to twirl endlessly, making it impossible to find peace. The townsfolk, who once adored her, started to grow weary of her fixation. Her once simple and warm relationships began to fray. Friends became distant. All that mattered to Karen were the shoes that now dictated her every move. In her bid to shine, she closed herself off from the love and support that had once surrounded her. It was not until an evening of reckoning arrived, created by her persistent madness, that Karen recognized the cost of her vanity. While dancing through the streets, the shoes began to drag her away from her control. Frantically, she tried to stop, desperate to regain her agency. However, it was too late. They pulled her into a wild, uncontrollable dance that took her away beyond the edge of the village. It was an agonizing realization that the one item she thought would bring her joy had instead chained her to an existence devoid of meaning. In that moment of frantic realization, Karen's heart sank. She caught a glimpse of a truth that had been hidden from her. The shoes, which she thought represented happiness, were symbols of her own vanity and materialism. They stripped her of her freedom, reduced her to a mere reflection of what she thought she desired. She understood that her obsession had overshadowed what truly mattered, and that her worth was not tied to external appearances or the fleeting admiration of others. Eventually, in her struggle, she pleaded for release from the shoe's grasp, yearning for the simple life she had forsaken. In her desperation, she confronted a kind old woodcutter who had watched her deterioration from afar. He, having witnessed the destructive path of vanity, offered her a way out, a chance to let go and rediscover herself. His wisdom encouraged her to embrace humility and recognize the beauty of being true to oneself without the burden of excessive desire. With one final effort, Karen surrendered to the woodcutter's words. She freed herself from the spell of the red shoes, casting them aside and stripping herself of the weight of vanity that had haunted her. It was not easy, but step by step she began to reclaim her life. She worked to rebuild the relationships that the shoes had severed. With a renewed spirit, she started to find joy in the simplest things, laughing with friends, enjoying nature, and rediscovering her hobbies. The tale of Karen and her red shoes illustrates a timeless moral lesson. It serves as a cautionary narrative about the perils of letting vanity and materialism overshadow the genuine connections we form with others. The story invites us to reflect on the importance of authenticity, urging each of us to seek joy not through possessions or appearances, but through kindness, self-acceptance, and meaningful relationships. Ultimately, it reminds us that true happiness is not found in the allure of external beauty, but in cultivating a rich inner life filled with compassion and genuine connections. In doing so, we liberate ourselves from the chains of temptation and discover the joy of simply being ourselves, unburdened by the weight of material desires. The Nutcracker is not just a beloved holiday tale filled with enchanting music and whimsical characters. Underneath its festive surface lies a deeper narrative that evokes themes of conflict and anxiety, particularly as they relate to war. To understand these layers, we should explore the origins of the story, the cultural context in which it was created, and how its narrative reflects the tumultuous times of its conception. The story we know today largely stems from a ballet composed by Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky and is based on a tale by the German author E.T.A. Hoffmann. Hoffmann's version, titled The Nutcracker and the Mouse King, was published in 1816 and presented a more complex and darker perspective than the cheerful ballet that followed. His story involves not just the transformation of toys into live characters, but also features an epic battle between the Nutcracker, a wooden soldier, and the Mouse King, which symbolizes the struggle between good and evil. To truly appreciate the underlying tension within the Nutcracker, it helps to examine the historical backdrop during which it was created. The early 19th century in Europe was a time marked by political unrest, shifting power dynamics, and the lingering shadows of the Napoleonic Wars. The age was rife with the anxiety that accompanies large-scale conflict, deeply affecting the art and literature of the period. As people witnessed firsthand the chaos and trauma brought about by war, these themes started to take root in the cultural consciousness, surfacing in various creative outlets, including literature and dance. The Nutcracker's narrative mirrors this anxiety, particularly in how it portrays conflicts between armies. The fantastical battle between the Nutcracker and the Mouse King can be seen as a metaphor for larger societal struggles. The Mouse King, with his menacing presence and commanding authority over his army of mice, can represent the forces of chaos, disorder, and oppression. In contrast, the Nutcracker stands as a figure of hope and bravery, embodying the fight for justice and peace. Moreover, the setting of the Nutcracker itself plays a vital role in enhancing its themes. The contrasting worlds, the serene, magical realm of the Sugar Plum Fairy and the chaotic, dark world of the Mouse King, illustrate the dual nature of conflict. This duality reflects the experiences of many during wartime, oscillating between moments of beauty and terror. It serves as a potent reminder that even in the most whimsical and joyful times, there exists an undercurrent of struggle. The portrayal of war in the Nutcracker also invites us to reflect on the emotional toll conflict takes on individuals. The character of Clara, who journeys through this dreamlike adventure, can be seen as a representation of innocence caught in the swirl of turmoil. As she navigates through battles and strange realms, we are reminded of how war disrupts lives, innocence, and the world of childhood. Clara's growth throughout her journey embodies resilience in the face of adversity, resonating with the universal theme of finding strength amidst chaos. The influence of the Nutcracker extended far beyond Hoffmann's original tale, or Tchaikovsky's famous ballet. The story has been adapted and reimagined countless times across various media, from films to stage productions. Each adaptation often reflects the societal concerns of its time, illustrating how the themes of war, conflict, and resilience continue to be relevant and poignant even in contemporary interpretations. At its core, the Nutcracker involves a journey that transcends physical battles. It explores the internal struggles faced by individuals in times of conflict, the fears, hopes, and dreams that emerge under the weight of instability. The symbol of the Nutcracker itself, a wooden figure brought to life, serves as a metaphor for transformation and the struggle against formidable forces, suggesting that even the most unassuming individuals can rise to meet challenges head-on. As we engage with the Nutcracker, we're invited to delve into the layers of meaning that exist beneath its surface. In celebrating its whimsical story and enchanting music, we also acknowledge the deeper anxieties about war and its impacts. It prompts a reflection on how art, in its many forms, serves not just as a means of entertainment but also as a medium for addressing pressing human experiences and emotions. In conclusion, the Nutcracker is much more than a simple holiday classic. It represents a rich tapestry of storytelling that intertwines themes of conflict, courage, and transformation. Through its characters and narrative arcs, we can appreciate how artistic expressions convey the complexities of human emotions during times of war. As we immerse ourselves in its enchanting world, we also recognize the deeper implications of the story it tells, one that resonates with the experiences of countless generations. This timeless tale, with its blend of fantasy and conflict, invites us not only to dream but also to reflect on the realities that shape our world. Once upon a time, in a sunny little meadow, 3 little pigs decided to leave their mother's home to build houses of their own. Each pig had a unique vision and a different plan for their future. This tale serves not only as a delightful story, but also as a reminder of the importance of planning and building a strong foundation in life. The first little pig was carefree and wanted to get started quickly. He decided to build his house out of straw. It was light, easy to gather, and allowed him to finish building in no time. With his house complete, he felt proud, and spent the rest of the day playing and singing without a care in the world. While this seemed fun, the foundation of his home was not very strong. The second little pig, slightly more cautious than the first, chose to build his house out of sticks. He thought this material would be sturdier than straw while still being quick to gather. It took him a little longer than the first pig, but soon enough he had a charming little house that offered some comforts. Like his brother, he finished his work and joined in on the playful singing and dancing. However, he too had not established the strongest foundation. The third little pig was grounded and wise. He understood that a solid foundation was crucial for long-term security. Instead of rushing, he took his time to gather bricks and mortar. It took much longer for him to finish his house, but when he completed it, he was met with a sturdy structure that could withstand the test of time. While his brothers were carefree, the third little pig spent a lot of time working hard, ensuring that every brick was laid with care. He understood the value of taking time and planning for the future. One fateful day, a big bad wolf came through the meadow. He was searching for a meal and spotted the first little pig. With a huff and a puff, the wolf blew down the straw house in seconds. The first little pig ran as fast as he could to his brother's stick house. In moments, he arrived at the second pig's home, hoping for safety. But the wolf followed closely, and with another huff and puff, he blew down the stick house too. Both pigs fled in terror to their brother's brick house. The wolf, now more determined than ever, approached the sturdy brick house and began to huff and puff again. But no matter how hard he tried, the brick house remained standing firm. The third little pig had built a strong foundation, and with it, he protected himself and his brothers. The wolf eventually gave up, realizing that he could not defeat the pig's solid structure. This story illustrates a vital lesson: the importance of making thoughtful choices and investing time in laying down a strong foundation, whether in a home, a career, or personal relationships. Sometimes it might seem easier to go for the quick and easy solutions. They may offer temporary pleasures, but when faced with challenges, those choices often lead to vulnerability. Like the three little pigs, we all have our paths. Rushing may seem appealing, but it can lead us to a shaky future. It is essential to consider our options and think ahead. Plan carefully, invest in what truly matters, and work diligently. Each step you take builds towards your future. When storms come, and they surely will, having a solid foundation will serve as your protection. As you think about your own life, consider areas where you might be tempted to hurry without sufficient planning. Are you building your career quickly without exploring all your options? Are you investing time in friendships that might be shallow? Reflecting on these questions can guide you towards constructing a life that stands strong against any challenges that come your way. Remember, it is never too late to make strong choices. Just as the third little pig took his time to serve his vision, you too can build robust foundations for your dreams. The beauty of life is in its nuances, and every day gives you a chance to lay down another brick in your metaphorical house. So embrace the process of building your dreams. Utilize the resources around you, learn from your experiences, and focus on what will last. The journey may take time, and it might require more effort, but the rewards of resilience, security, and peace are incredibly fulfilling. Let this tale of the three little pigs inspire you to create a life that is not just built for today, but stands strong for tomorrow. Hunchback of Notre Dame is a compelling story that serves as a mirror to society, reflecting the ways in which individuals who are perceived as different or disabled are treated. Set against the backdrop of 15th century Paris, the narrative revolves around Quasimodo, the hunchbacked bell ringer of Notre Dame Cathedral. Through his character and the world he inhabits, the story explores themes of societal judgment, compassion, and the quest for acceptance. From the very start, Quasimodo is introduced to us not just as a person, but as a figure of tragedy and isolation. Born with physical deformities, he represents those who are often marginalized. Society has a tendency to fear or misunderstand what it does not see as normal. This fear is reflected in Quasimodo's life. He is shunned and ridiculed by the people around him. The way he is treated illuminates the broader societal attitudes towards disability and difference. In the heart of this story is the iconic Notre Dame Cathedral, a symbol of both beauty and refuge. While Quasimodo finds solace and a sense of belonging among the bells of Notre Dame, the outside world remains unwelcoming. His character evokes empathy as readers witness his struggles. When he finally encounters kindness through the character of Esmeralda, a compassionate gypsy, it sheds light on the innate human desire for connection and understanding. Esmeralda's acceptance of Quasimodo contrasts sharply with the harshness he faces from society, suggesting that compassion can overcome prejudice. Throughout the narrative, the reactions of other characters are telling of the societal norms of the time. Frollo, the Archdeacon of Notre Dame, represents the conflicting nature of authority and desire. His obsession with Esmeralda reveals humanity's darker impulses. He embodies the duality of fascination and fear that often accompanies those who stand apart from the crowd. The harsh judgments and emotional turmoil faced by Quasimodo display that societal treatment is not just based on outward appearances, but also on deeper issues of power, attraction, and morality. The story also illustrates the idea of beauty being subjective. While Quasimodo is portrayed as physically repulsive to most, his heart is depicted as pure and filled with love. In contrast, characters such as Frollo and others who appear normal often exhibit selfish and cruel behaviors. This juxtaposition raises important questions about how society defines worth and value. It challenges us to reconsider our biases and the way we perceive beauty and humanity. Through Quasimodo, we are invited to consider the distinction between external appearances and internal virtues. Moreover, the tale emphasizes the need for authentic connections. Quasimodo's interaction with Esmeralda serves as a poignant reminder of the human experience. It showcases the transformative power of empathy and kindness. Their relationship transcends physical appearances, highlighting that beneath the surface, everyone has hopes, fears, and dreams. The willingness of one character to see past Quasimodo's difference illustrates that acceptance is a powerful act that enriches both the giver and the receiver. The overarching message of Hunchback of Notre Dame speaks to the urgency of recognizing and dismantling societal prejudices. Quasimodo's journey reveals the loneliness and pain that can accompany being an outcast. It urges readers to confront their own biases and to advocate for a more inclusive society. The narrative forces us to reflect on our treatment of those who are different and to embrace compassion as a means of fostering genuine community. In many respects, the novel transcends its historical setting, remaining relevant today as issues of diversity, acceptance, and social justice continue to resonate. It calls for vigilance against discrimination and the importance of standing up for those who cannot stand up for themselves. Through Quasimodo's plight, the story inspires a sense of responsibility towards one another, encouraging individuals to promote kindness and understanding. In closing, Hunchback of Notre Dame functions not merely as a tale of individual suffering, but as a powerful social commentary on the human experience. It encourages readers to look beyond superficial differences and to seek the humanity in everyone. The narrative invites a reflection on who we are as a society and challenges us to embrace our shared vulnerabilities. The story ultimately serves as a reminder that acceptance and compassion can be transformative, shaping not just individual lives, but the very fabric of our communities. As we engage with this tale, let us carry forward its lesson of empathy and understanding, forging connections that transcend the divides of difference. Once upon a time, in a kingdom nestled between rolling hills and vast forests, there lived a young princess known for her beauty and grace. She was adored by all, but her heart belonged to someone else. Her story begins with a deep bond between her and her childhood friend, a loyal servant girl. This friendship, forged in innocence, was ripe with secrets, laughter, and a promise of loyalty that would eventually face unimaginable tests. As the years turned, the princess blossomed into a woman, and her father, the king, decided it was time for her to marry a prince from a neighboring kingdom. This prince was brave and kind, a perfect match for the young princess. However, unbeknownst to her, the servant girl harbored a secret desire for the life of royalty. She longed to escape her humble beginnings, dreaming of silk gowns, lavish banquets, and the adoration of the people. This ambition led her down a dark path, ultimately weaving a tapestry of betrayal that would change their fates forever. On the day of the grand wedding, the princess wore a magnificent gown, adorned with jewels that sparkled like the stars. Her excitement was palpable, but as the ceremony drew closer, shadows began to creep over her heart. At the same time, the servant girl, feeling overshadowed by her friend's impending happiness, hatched a plan. Impersonating the princess, she aimed to claim the life she had always wanted. With a heart full of envy, she set out to deceive everyone, believing that this was the way to finally take control of her destiny. In the vein of timeless tales, the servant girl found herself a magical item that granted her illusions. She concealed herself under the guise of beauty and confidence, donning the princess's crown. As she stepped into the world of royalty, the weight of her deceit laid heavy on her heart. The wedding went on without a hitch, and the prince, enamored by the apparent glory of the bride, had no inkling of the betrayal brewing beneath the surface. Days turned into weeks, and the kingdom celebrated what they believed to be a marriage of love. Yet, unbeknownst to all, the true princess, stripped of her title, was sent to the far corners of the kingdom, working as a common goose girl. In the quiet solitude of her new life, she tended to the geese, her spirit crushed, yet unbroken. Despite her circumstances, she remained loyal to the memory of her former life, holding on to the hope that one day justice would prevail. While the servant girl reveled in the luxury she had long coveted, she learned that the throne came with its own set of challenges. As days went by, her heart filled not with joy but with guilt. The weight of her duplicity began to corrode the happiness she thought she had gained. The kingdom, which once seemed a land of bliss, now felt suffocating. She was surrounded by beauty, yet haunted by the truth of her betrayal. She realized that loyalty, once broken, cannot be easily mended. As fate would have it, the rightful princess still had allies in the kingdom, loyal souls who remained committed to their true queen. They began to uncover secrets, piecing together the truth behind the enchantment that had claimed their beloved princess. The loyal subjects, wise in their devotion, hatched a plan to expose the deception and restore balance to the kingdom. Their quest for justice was not born from anger, but from a deep-seated belief in loyalty, a treasure far greater than any crown. One fateful day, the two girls' paths crossed at the riverbank, where the geese flocked and the world felt untouched by darkness. The servant girl, now queen in name only, came face to face with her friend. In that poignant moment, the veneer of power shattered. The princess, now independent and strong, stood tall, while the servant girl faced the consequences of her choices. It was not a battle of might, but one of understanding that loyalty is a fragile thread, easily frayed. The confrontation was not just an ending, it was a reckoning, rich with the themes of loyalty versus betrayal. The princess, embodying true nobility, extended her hand, not in anger, but with an invitation to reconcile. In a world steeped in magic and royal grandeur, it was kindness that bridged the chasm created by betrayal. The servant girl, realizing the depth of her mistake, was torn between her ambition and her heart, prompting a moment of reflection that changed everything. The kingdom would soon witness the power of forgiveness. It taught everyone that true leadership is not born from deception, but from loyalty, compassion, and the ability to rise from one's mistakes. The tale of the goose girl and the princess became a legend, one that resonated through generations. It was a reminder that, even in the face of betrayal, the heart has the capacity to heal and to seek redemption. In conclusion, themes of loyalty and betrayal, intertwined with magical elements and royal motifs, unveil the incredible journey of two friends whose lives took unexpected turns. Their story teaches valuable lessons about trust, ambition, and the enduring strength of love, reminding us that the bonds we forge can shape our destinies in ways we may never imagine. In a small town in Germany, there was a quaint little city known as Bremen. Its cobblestone streets were filled with the hustle and bustle of everyday life. But beyond the lively markets and charming architecture, Bremen held a story that spoke deeply of unity and teamwork, an enduring tale of four unlikely friends, each with their own trials and troubles. Once upon a time, there was a donkey who had grown old and weary from years of hard work. Though he had once carried heavy loads and served his master faithfully, he was now deemed too weak to be of any use. Facing a future of neglect and loneliness, the donkey decided to head towards Bremen. He dreamt of becoming a musician in the lively city, where he could share his music and find joy. As he trotted along, his spirits lifted with the thought of new adventures. As fate would have it, he soon stumbled upon a dog lying by the roadside. The dog appeared to be a once robust creature, now thin and shivering. He had been abandoned by his owner, who no longer appreciated his loyal companionship. The donkey, feeling compassion for the dog, stopped to speak with him. He shared his own story and invited the dog to join him on his journey to Bremen, where they would seek their fortunes together. With renewed hope, the dog agreed, and together they continued their adventure. Shortly after, they encountered a cat, perched on a low wall. The cat, too, was in a sorrowful state. She had been pushed aside by her family and felt unloved. The donkey and dog, moved by her plight, welcomed her into their group. They each shared their dreams of music and friendship, a bond beginning to form among the three. As they traveled further, they stumbled upon a rooster, who was perched atop a fence, squawking loudly. This rooster, however, was not in despair. He was in a predicament of his own. The farmer had decided to cook him for dinner, and he was desperate to escape. Seeing the trio below, the rooster squawked for help. The donkey, dog, and cat listened to the rooster's dilemma, and, with determination in their hearts, devised a plan that would save him from his impending fate. They worked together, everyone contributing their unique abilities. The donkey kicked the fence to create a distraction, the dog barked ferociously to throw the farmer off balance, and the crafty cat used her agility to navigate the area, helping the rooster to find an escape route. The rooster, grateful and thrilled, joined them on their quest to Bremen. Just like that, their team of 4 was complete. As they traveled, the quartet grew closer, learning to rely on each other's strengths. The donkey provided wisdom and stability. The dog offered loyalty and courage. The cat contributed agility and stealth, and the rooster added a unique flair with his cheerful singing voice. Together, they faced many challenges, navigating through dense forests, crossing wide rivers, and even evading wild animals. Through it all, they discovered that their bond made them stronger than ever. As they approached Bremen, they encountered a band of robbers who had taken over an abandoned house and were planning to use it as their hideout. The robbers seemed fierce and intimidating, but the donkey, dog, cat, and rooster had each other's backs. They hatched a creative plan, one that showcased their unique talents. In the dead of night, they approached the robbers' hideout. The donkey brayed loudly. The dog barked ferociously. The cat let out eerie howls, and the rooster crowed at the top of his lungs. The sudden, overwhelming noise startled the robbers, causing panic among them. Believing they were under attack by ghostly creatures, the robbers fled in terror, leaving behind their treasure. With their teamwork, the quartet not only overcame adversity, but also took over the robbers' hideout. They turned it into a cozy home where they could begin their musical journey together. Each dawn, the rooster would wake the others with his cheerful crowing, reminding them to share their music and stories with the world. The donkey strummed a makeshift instrument with his hooves. The dog played rhythm by tapping his paws. The cat provided harmony with her charming meows, and the rooster led them with his singing. In Bremen, they found friends who appreciated their talents and enjoyed their delightful music. The townspeople celebrated their unity and how they had banded together against the odds. The 4 friends learned that their true strength lay not in their individual abilities, but in their collaboration and mutual support. The story of the Bremen town musicians teaches us a timeless lesson. When faced with adversity, it is unity and teamwork that can help us conquer our challenges. Whether we are old or young, strong or weary, we can find power in working together. Just like the donkey, dog, cat, and rooster, we all have something valuable to contribute, and when we unite, we can create beautiful melodies that resonate throughout the world. The town of Bremen blossomed with their music, a testament to the unbreakable bond forged through shared dreams, unwavering loyalty, and a collective spirit of joy. Their harmony echoed far and wide, inspiring others to cherish unity in their own lives. After all, it is together that we can truly find our strength and make a difference in the world around us. In the realm of Slavic folklore, few figures are as intriguing and fearsome as Baba Yaga. This enigmatic character embodies a complex blend of fear, mystique, and cultural morality, serving as a potent symbol of the unknown and the consequences of human behavior. Stories of her often elicit a shiver of apprehension, making her both a cautionary figure and an enduring subject of fascination. Baba Yaga is frequently depicted as an old, haggard woman with a skeletal appearance, and her home adds to her daunting presence. Imagine a hut that stands on chicken legs, capable of spinning around to face those who approach. This peculiar detail enhances her aura of magic and mystery, creating a setting that intrigues and frightens in equal measure. When visitors arrive, they must utter phrases to command the hut to reveal itself, integrating a sense of ritualistic interaction between the world of the ordinary and the supernatural. The stories surrounding Baba Yaga vary widely across the vast expanse of Slavic cultures, but common threads often emerge. She is frequently portrayed as a powerful figure with ambiguous morals, able to both help and hinder those who seek her out. Many tales recount encounters where heroes face her cunning and whimsical nature, leading to trials that test their resolve and character. For instance, one might find a protagonist who comes to her seeking wisdom, only to be met with impossible tasks that challenge their resourcefulness and bravery. It is through these challenges that they learn valuable lessons, reinforcing the moral intricacies of the stories. Baba Yaga's fearsome reputation serves several purposes in Slavic lore. On one level, she embodies the fears that every community holds about the unknown and the unpredictable. Her character resonates deeply with the darker aspects of life, including death, the forest's wildness, and the fear of isolation. In many tales, she resides on the fringes of civilization, representing not only external dangers, but also the internal fears that individuals grapple with as they navigate their lives. Interestingly, Baba Yaga's character is often more nuanced than a simple antagonist. In various narratives, she can act as a mentor or a wise figure, offering guidance to those who approach her correctly and respectfully. Through these interactions, she teaches the importance of honoring traditions and respecting the natural world. Her duality highlights the complexities of human nature. Just as people can be nurturing, they can also be formidable, embodying both wisdom and a capacity for fear. One notable story illustrates this dual nature well. A young girl wanders into the forest in search of her missing brother, and in her quest, she encounters Baba Yaga. Rather than being merely terrifying, Baba Yaga sets a series of challenges, each one seemingly more impossible than the last. However, through ingenuity and compassion, the girl navigates these trials, ultimately gaining Baba Yaga's respect. In this sense, interaction with Baba Yaga becomes a rite of passage, teaching essential life lessons about resilience and resourcefulness. Baba Yaga's impact extends beyond personal transformation. She serves as a reflection of societal values and norms. In cultures steeped in tradition, her stories caution against straying too far from communal expectations. The consequences of disobedience or disrespecting the natural order often manifest through encounters with her, reinforcing the moral fabric of the society she embodies. Moreover, her presence in folklore can be seen as a reminder of the balance between nature and humanity. The wildness of the forest represents untamed aspects of life that can be both beautiful and dangerous. Baba Yaga stands at this intersection, embodying the reverence and the fear that the natural world commands. Her character encourages a deep respect for nature's mysteries, challenging individuals to engage with their surroundings thoughtfully and deliberately. Throughout the centuries, Baba Yaga's narrative has transcended regional boundaries, capturing the imagination of countless generations. From literature to modern adaptations in film and media, her character continues to resonate with audiences who are both drawn to and frightened by her. The allure of Baba Yaga lies in her complexities. She is not merely a villain, but an emblem of the fears and morals that guide human experience. Even in contemporary discussions, Baba Yaga's legacy persists, reflecting an age-old fascination with the interplay of light and darkness, kindness and cunning. Whether viewed as a treacherous witch or a wise old woman, her tales remind us not only of our fears, but also of the lessons waiting to be learned from confronting those fears head-on. So as you delve into the enchanting world of Slavic folklore, let Baba Yaga guide you through the shadows and illuminate the profound lessons hidden in her stories. Embrace the uncertainties, honor the wisdom of the ancients, and remember that every encounter in life, whether with fearsome figures or gentle guides, holds the potential for transformation and growth. Once upon a time, in a small village nestled among rolling hills, there was a time of scarcity. The villagers were facing a challenging season, the crops had failed, and the pantry shelves were bare. People were worried, and a sense of unease filled their hearts. It was during this period of struggle that a traveling stranger with a wise smile entered the village, carrying only a sturdy pot and a stone. The stranger approached the villagers with a friendly demeanor, but they were hesitant to engage. After all, who could blame them? They were focused on their own hardships and feeling desperate. Yet the stranger offered a proposition that piqued their curiosity. He claimed he could make a delicious soup, right there in the village square, using just his stone. The villagers exchanged puzzled glances, wondering how a mere stone could create anything nourishing. With gentle persuasion, the stranger set up a small fire and filled his pot with water, placing it above the flames. He then dropped the stone into the pot and began to stir, humming a cheerful tune. The aroma wafted through the air, drawing the attention of a few curious villagers. They watched closely, intrigued by the stranger's confidence in creating something valuable out of nothing. As he stirred, the stranger remarked how wonderful it would be to have just a pinch of salt to enhance the flavor. One villager, who had been listening closely, remembered the small stash of salt he had saved for special occasions. He watched as other villagers gathered, wondering if perhaps they could contribute something too. Slowly, he approached the pot and offered his small bag of salt. Feeling encouraged by this small act of cooperation, another villager stepped forward, sharing a handful of carrots he had managed to gather from his garden. "They're not much," he admitted, "but they can add a bit of sweetness." As the pot bubbled, the better the smell grew, enticing others to join the effort. A woman with very little to spare shyly presented a couple of potatoes, saying she could spare them since they wouldn't last for long anyway. Laughter and chatter broke out among the villagers, who started to realize they could contribute in small ways. One by one, they began to bring forward their humble offerings. A few herbs, some onions, and leftover meat were soon bubbling in the pot. What had started as a simple stone soup began to transform into a delightful feast, all thanks to the willingness of the villagers to share their scarce resources. With each contribution, the pot filled to the brim, reflecting not just the ingredients but the spirit of collaboration. The traveler stirred the pot with pride, watching as the flavors melded together, creating a harmony that was pleasing to all. As they gathered around the pot, excitement grew. The atmosphere transformed from one of scarcity to one of abundance. Laughter and conversation flowed as they anticipated the meal they were about to share. They realized that by working together, they could create something greater than what any one of them could achieve alone. The pot was soon filled to the edge, and when the soup was ready, the stranger invited everyone to take a bowl. Villagers served each other, and with every sip, they savored not just the taste, but the warmth that comes from community and cooperation. The stone soup served as a powerful reminder of the unity that can emerge during difficult times. As the sun began to set, the villagers sat together, enjoying the meal under the soft evening light. They shared stories, laughter, and a newfound appreciation for one another. From that day forward, their hearts were lighter. They understood that even a small contribution could make a significant difference when combined with the efforts of others. The stranger, having shared this important lesson, prepared to leave, but not before leaving the stone as a symbol of their shared experience. And so, the story of the stone soup spread far and wide, reminding all who heard it of the power of cooperation and community. It teaches us that even during the hardest times, when resources are thin, the bonds of friendship and community effort can fill our lives with richness. The next time you face a challenge, remember the lesson of the stone soup. Alone, we may have little to offer, but together we can create something wonderful, turning scarcity into abundance and fostering a spirit of unity that warms our hearts. Remember, it is through our connections and shared efforts that we find strength, nourishment, and joy. Let the spirit of cooperation guide us in all our endeavors, helping to transform our own communities into places of plenty and kindness. Once upon a time, in a vibrant kingdom filled with bustling markets and colorful celebrations, a tale unfolded that resonates deeply throughout history. It tells the story of two clever weavers who arrived in the kingdom, claiming to possess the power to create magnificent garments unlike any the world had ever seen. These clothes, they announced, would be invisible to anyone who was either unfit for their position or simply foolish. This seemingly absurd notion was not lost on the people of the kingdom. Instead, it ignited a whirlwind of self-deception that revealed several truths about human nature and societal dynamics. The first truth is how we often seek validation from others. When the king, a figure whose vanity was matched only by his desire to appear wise and discerning, heard of the weaver's magical garments, he immediately commissioned them to create an outfit for himself. In doing so, he not only surrendered his judgment but ingrained within his court the notion that appearances held greater value than substance. The desire to be part of the crowd, to fit in, often clouds our ability to see reality for what it is. We can easily relate to the king, as many of us have, at one point or another, put aside our beliefs or doubts in favor of what is popularly accepted or deemed impressive. Then there were the courtiers, who, fearing they would be labeled incompetent or foolish, played along with the charade. Their behavior illustrates a second truth. Conformity can lead to collective blindness. In a society where everyone strives to maintain a facade, individuals might find themselves ignoring their own instincts. They look to others for cues, mimicking what they think is expected, rather than standing by their individual convictions. This reflects a fascinating aspect of human nature. We often prioritize the perception of ourselves over the truth, not wanting to be ostracized or ridiculed. The fear of standing out can stifle our genuine beliefs, leading to a cycle of self-deception. The weavers, knowing they were onto something with their outrageous claim, symbolized another dynamic at play: the exploitation of societal fears. By catering to the insecurities of the upper class, they ingrained themselves within the fabric of kingdom society. Their success was not just about the elusive garments, but about leveraging the king's and courtiers' worries to their advantage. This illustrates how certain individuals can manipulate prevailing sentiments for their own gain. It's an age-old lesson. Those who can tap into the vulnerabilities of others often find themselves in positions of power. As preparations for the grand unveiling of the garments rolled out, excitement bubbled over throughout the kingdom. However, the spectacle was merely superficial. No fabric was actually woven. Instead, the weavers were fabricating a grand illusion, and the reality lay bare, hidden beneath layers of societal expectation. The event itself symbolizes another truth: the danger of blind ambition. The emperor's desire to reveal an extraordinary outfit ultimately led to a display of nothingness. In our lives, ambition can lead us down blind alleys if we do not pausing to question whether we are pursuing authenticity or simply chasing after appearances. Then came the moment of reckoning, when the emperor paraded his non-existent attire before his subjects. Initially, a chorus of praise erupted, but it was the innocent words of a child that shattered the illusion. "But he isn't wearing anything at all," cried the young voice. This pivotal moment encapsulated another profound truth about human nature: the often overlooked power of innocence and honesty. Children, untouched by the conditioning of societal norms, express truths simply and directly. Through this lens, we can see how valuable and critical it is to foster environments where honesty can flourish unhampered by fear or judgment. As the truth began to ripple through the crowd, the emperor realized that he had been deceived, and yet he continued the procession. This moment is emblematic of the final truth: the reluctance to confront uncomfortable realities. Rather than acknowledge the absurdity of the situation, the emperor chose to double down, reflecting a common behavior seen across different contexts. Often individuals and institutions remain steadfast in their narratives, even when confronted with the stark truth, illustrating how difficult it can be to confront our own delusions. In essence, the tale of the emperor and his invisible clothes invites us to reflect on our own lives. It encourages us to examine the ways we may deceive ourselves or allow societal pressures to dictate our realities. It challenges us to find the courage to reclaim our voices, to prioritize authenticity over appearances, and to embrace the simplicity of truth, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. Ultimately, this story transcends time, reminding us of the fragile layers of human nature and the complexities behind our societal dynamics, urging each of us to see clearly amidst the noise of self-deception. It reminds us that sometimes it takes the innocent gaze of a child to reveal the truths we could not bear to acknowledge ourselves. In a quiet village nestled between rolling hills, there was a golden goose, renowned for laying eggs of pure gold. People traveled from afar to witness this marvel and to obtain golden eggs, which brought immense wealth to those fortunate enough to own one. The goose belonged to a humble farmer named Thomas, who had cared for her with love and kindness ever since she was just a nestling. The village, once known for its close-knit community, began to change over time. As more people learned about the golden eggs, greed began to swell within their hearts. Initially, they admired Thomas and his goose. But envy soon replaced admiration. Whispers of discontent grew louder, and many villagers began plotting to take the goose for themselves, believing that her golden eggs would solve all their problems. Thomas remained blissfully unaware of the growing tension. He was busy tending to his land, believing that the true wealth in life came not from material possessions, but from sharing moments with neighbors, tending to crops, and helping anyone in need. On chilly evenings, he would invite nearby families over for supper, sharing his warm bread and nourishing soup, never asking for anything in return. One fateful day, a group of villagers chose to confront Thomas. They gathered in an angry mob, demanding that he share the goose's golden eggs with everyone. "Why should you alone benefit from her?" they shouted. "You have enough wealth. it's time to share with the rest of us." The tension was palpable, but Thomas stood calmly, meeting their eyes one by one. Instead of responding with anger or fear, Thomas took a deep breath and spoke gently. "My friends, I have been blessed with the golden goose, but you must understand, she is not just a source of wealth. Her true gift lies beyond the golden eggs." As murmurs of skepticism surged through the crowd, Thomas continued, "Time and again, I have witnessed how kindness can bring more joy than gold. I've shared what I have, and I'm richer for it. Not in coins, but in friendships and love." His words hung in the air, causing the villagers to pause and reflect. They had been so consumed by their desire for wealth that they had forgotten the power of simple acts of kindness. Thomas then invited them to join him for a meal, hoping to illustrate his point. Uneasy but curious, the villagers reluctantly followed him to his modest home. As they sat down together, Thomas served them hearty portions of stew and fresh bread, delighting in the laughter and stories they shared. With every bite, the villagers began to feel a warmth spreading through their hearts. They realized how happiness could flourish from sharing food, laughter, and companionship. One by one, smiles broke across their faces as they listened to each other, telling tales of their own lives. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, illuminating the sky with shades of orange and pink, something remarkable happened. The villagers felt a sense of connection they hadn't experienced in years. They talked long into the night, rediscovering the strength of their community. Each shared story carried a glimmer of understanding about the importance of generosity over greed. In that joyful gathering, wealth took on a new meaning. As days turned into weeks, this newfound spirit of generosity spread throughout the village. People began helping their neighbors with chores and sharing their own resources willingly. They found that planting seeds together and harvesting crops brought them joy beyond measure. Bonds were strengthened, and laughter echoed throughout the fields. Meanwhile, Thomas's golden goose continued to lay her eggs, and while he did share a few with the villagers, he always kept his focus on fostering a culture anchored in kindness. The village began to flourish in ways no one had anticipated. The richness of love and friendship created a bounty more valuable than any golden egg could provide. With each golden egg that the goose laid, Thomas would ask himself how he could use this gift to improve the lives of others. Instead of hoarding wealth, he took it as an opportunity to create community events, fund local projects, and help those in need. As time passed, even the envious villagers who had once plotted against him learned the true meaning of riches, embracing the spirit of giving and sharing. The golden goose had become a symbol not just of wealth, but of the transformative power of kindness. The villagers discovered that when they prioritized compassion over selfishness, they were rewarded with a deeper sense of purpose and satisfaction. A life filled with shared experiences offered a wealth that no golden egg could match. Through the actions of one humble farmer, a lesson was learned. True wealth is not measured by what one possesses, but by what one shares. The village thrived, not because of the golden eggs, but because every person there chose to open their hearts and hands, embodying the values they had almost forgotten. As we reflect on this tale of the golden goose, it becomes clear that generosity can create ripples of positivity that extend far beyond our immediate circles. The choice to be kind is a powerful one. It can unite us and foster an enduring sense of community, making our journey through life richer in ways we can never truly quantify. So let us always remember the lessons of the golden goose and strive to nurture generosity in our hearts, knowing that it holds the key to our collective wealth. Once upon a time, in a realm where the sea kissed the shore, there lived a beautiful and enchanting princess known as the Sea King's daughter. From a distance, her beauty captivated all who laid eyes upon her. With glistening hair like waves of sea foam and eyes as deep and mysterious as the ocean itself. However, her life beneath the surface mirrored the depths of the ocean, where the currents run strong and the treasures lie hidden. This princess was unique, not just because of her radiance, but also due to the gifts that lay within her, gifts that many did not recognize or appreciate. On the outside, she appeared to lead a life of luxury and privilege, yet her heart longed for understanding and acceptance. The world around her saw only her beauty and grace, but her abilities were as profound as the ocean, full of potential waiting to be discovered. In her underwater kingdom, the Sea King's daughter possessed the remarkable talent of communicating with all creatures of the sea. She could hear the whispers of the dolphins, understand the songs of the whales, and even converse with the wise and ancient turtles. However, despite this magnificent ability, she often felt overlooked. The other inhabitants of her kingdom admired her for her appearance, yet they seldom recognized her wisdom and insight. As days turned into weeks, the Sea King's daughter began to understand that true worth is not defined by what others see. It is rather the hidden qualities that emerge in times of need, and the ability to connect with others that truly matter. One day she heard tales of sailors lost at sea, men who had set out for adventure but found themselves in the bitter grasp of a storm. Their ships tossed and turned, their fears echoed amidst the rising winds, and she felt a strong urge to help. Gathering her courage, the Sea King's daughter swam to the surface. She could sense their despair and knew they needed guidance. With all her strength, she called upon the whales and dolphins, summoning them to her side. Together they formed a wave of movement and sound, leading the way for the sailors whose eyes searched for hope in the dark waters. As the morning light broke through the storm clouds, the sailors saw the majestic creatures guiding them. The radio waves of the ocean conveyed the message of the Sea King's daughter. Her vibrant energy reached their hearts, giving them strength to continue, reminding them that they were never truly alone in their struggles. The sailors followed the creatures, and as they approached the shore, they felt a profound sense of gratitude for the unseen help that had come from below. In that moment, the Sea King's daughter realized that the gifts she had were invaluable, even if they remained invisible to many. By helping the sailors find their way, she discovered her own worth beyond the surface. She understood that abilities recognized by few were still powerful, and that kindness, empathy, and courage could touch lives in ways that beauty alone could not. Inspired by her experience, the Sea King's daughter took her newfound understanding back to her kingdom. She began to organize gatherings where she would share stories of her underwater friends. She invited others to speak about their capabilities, their struggles, and their victories, and in doing so, she helped them realize their own worth. Slowly, the kingdom transformed. The creatures of the sea learned to celebrate not only their appearances, but also the gifts laid dormant within. The sea became a place of harmony, where deep connections flourished and the talents of each were held in high regard. News of these gatherings spread beyond the waters, reaching the ears of those on land. People began to visit, curious about the beauty and wisdom hidden in the underwater realm. They were astonished by the stories shared by the Sea King's daughter. Here, they discovered a sanctuary where both their flaws and strengths could be embraced. The princess introduced them to the vibrant life beneath the waves, teaching them about the delicate balance of the ecosystem and the importance of understanding and respecting each creature's role. Years passed, and the Sea King's daughter became a symbol of strength and self-worth. She showed others that sometimes the most extraordinary gifts lie beneath the surface. It is incredibly important to value oneself beyond mere appearances and to feel confident sharing unique abilities with the world. She continued to use her voice and influence to uplift others and encourage them to embrace their true selves. In the hearts of many, she planted a seed of inspiration. Villagers returned home with new perspectives and stories to tell, tales of courage, of resilience, and of the significance that lies in recognizing one's own abilities. They learned that they too had depths waiting to be discovered. The story of the Sea King's daughter became a gentle reminder that appearances can often be deceptive. True beauty radiates from within, and every person possesses remarkable qualities just waiting to surface. And so, as the waves lapped gently against the shore, the legend of the Sea King's daughter continued to inspire generations, a narrative woven into the fabric of both land and sea, celebrating the unrecognized abilities and self-worth that thrive beneath surface appearances, reminding all of us to dive deeper and explore the limitless possibilities that lie within. Once upon a time, in a faraway land known for its cold winds and shimmering nights, there was a beautiful girl who lived with her father, a poor woodcutter. They resided in a humble cottage tucked deep within the heart of a dense, enchanted forest. The girl was kind and gentle, her heart filled with dreams of adventure and love. She often gazed at the moonlit sky and wondered what lay beyond the horizon. One day, a mysterious white bear appeared at their doorstep, a creature of magic and wonder. The bear spoke with a voice that rumbled like distant thunder, telling the girl's father that he would offer them wealth beyond their wildest imagination in exchange for the girl's companionship. The father, driven by the needs of his family, reluctantly agreed, and the girl, albeit hesitantly, followed the bear into the unknown. The bear led her to a magnificent castle, where the walls glistened like diamonds and the halls echoed with the sounds of joy. The girl settled into her new life with the bear, who, under the enchantment that bound him, turned into a handsome prince each night. Yet she could only admire him in the dark, for he warned her that to see his true form during the day could lead to dire consequences. With every passing day and night, she found herself growing more fond of the prince, enchanted by his gentle spirit and warmth. However, curiosity can sometimes dance dangerously close to defiance. One night, leaning against the walls of her chamber, she was unable to resist the urge to uncover her beloved's secret. She lit a candle and gazed upon the sleeping prince, his features illuminated by the soft glow. In that moment, she fell deeper in love with the man hidden beneath the bear's fur. But the light of the candle had unforeseen consequences. It spilled wax onto his shirt, waking him abruptly, and he disappeared, leaving the girl heartbroken and alone. In his absence, a sorrowful weight settled in her heart, and she was determined to find him again. Climbing the mountains and crossing rivers, she ventured east of the sun and west of the moon, the lands that held the promise of adventure and longing. Her journey was fraught with challenges that tested her resolve. She faced wild winds that howled like spirits, crossed valleys filled with treacherous thorns, and navigated through dark woods where shadows seemed to whisper secrets. Along her pathways she encountered various magical beings. There was a wise old troll who guarded a bridge, demanding that she answer his riddles in exchange for passage. With her wit and intelligence, she successfully unraveled his mysteries and continued on her way, learning that determination can carve paths through even the toughest barriers. Next, she met a shimmering river nymph, who offered to help her find the prince. The nymph gifted her a delicate silver hairpin that could guide her whenever she felt lost or uncertain. With each step forward, the girl held on to this token, drawing strength from the warmth of the nymph's kindness. She realized that helping hands often appear when one least expects it, reminding her that she was not alone in her quest. After what felt like an eternity, she finally arrived at the castle where the prince was held captive by a wicked enchantress. The girl, with her heart ablaze and unyielding love driving her forward, approached the gates that loomed before her. They were colossal and intimidating, bearing the marks of doubt and fear, yet she pushed open those grand doors with sheer resolve. Inside, she fought her way through illusions and traps, overcoming each challenge with the lessons she had learned on her journey. With every trial, she grew stronger, more resilient, understanding that love is not just a feeling, but an act of courage and perseverance. Finally, she confronted the enchantress, a figure draped in shadows, who twisted the threads of fate. The enchantress, armed with magic and contempt, laughed at the girl's endeavor, believing that she would never succeed. But the girl, fueled by her love for the prince, stood her ground and challenged the enchantress. She told her that true love cannot be contained by spells or malice. In a fierce battle of wills, the girl called upon the lessons from the wise troll and river nymph. She broke the enchantress' spell, freeing the prince from his curse. The light of true love enveloped them, dispelling the darkness that had surrounded them for so long. As the enchantress faded into nothingness, the prince stood before her, every bit the man she had fallen in love with. Their hearts intertwined, the prince took her hand, and they journeyed together back to their home, far from the cold winds and dark forests. Together they learned to build a life brimming with joy, laughter, and adventure, knowing that love is a journey worth taking, filled with trials that only serve to strengthen the bond between two hearts. And so, they lived not just for themselves, but to inspire others, teaching that love, accompanied by courage and hope, can conquer even the greatest of challenges, and the true adventure begins when you reach beyond the horizons of your heart. The story of the Frog Princess is a beloved fairy tale, known across the world, but interestingly, it varies significantly from one culture to another. Each version not only reflects the values and beliefs of its culture, but also imparts moral lessons that resonate with the people who narrate them. In Europe, one of the most famous adaptations comes from the brothers Grimm, known as The Frog Prince. In this version, a spoiled princess reluctantly befriends a frog after losing her precious golden ball in a pond. In return for retrieving the ball, the frog asks for companionship, which the princess dismisses with disgust. However, after a series of events, including a royal dinner and the princess's, somewhat accidental, transformation of the frog through a kiss, she learns about the importance of keeping promises and embracing the beauty of unlikely friendships. This tale emphasizes the transformation that can occur when one looks beyond the surface of things advocating for kindness and respect towards all beings, no matter their appearance. Traveling to Africa, we find a version that stands out, known as the Frog Bride. In this tale, a young woman is cursed to become a frog, and can only return to her human form through the love of a prince. The prince, however, must learn to be patient and understanding as he helps her break the spell. This variant highlights the importance of compassion and sacrifice in relationships, emphasizing that true love involves acceptance and loyalty, even in difficult situations. In East Asia, particularly in China, the story takes on a different hue. Here, one might encounter The Princess and the Frog, which tells of a noble lady who is transformed into a frog as part of a punishment. To regain her place in the royal court, she must develop inner virtues, such as humility and bravery. This version encourages self-improvement and the idea that true nobility comes from one's character rather than social status. It conveys the message that inner beauty is far more important than external appearances. In India, there is a lesser-known variant called The Frog and the Princess. In this tale, a clever frog uses wit and intelligence to obtain gifts from a king. The frog becomes a symbol of resourcefulness, showing that wisdom often triumphs over brute strength. It teaches listeners that cleverness and clever solutions can prevail in tough situations, encouraging creativity and problem-solving abilities. The narrative of the Frog Princess has reached even the Americas. In some Native American traditions, there's a variation that highlights environmental themes, where the frog symbolizes nature and its delicate balance. In this telling, a young princess learns to appreciate the animal kingdom and the essence of coexistence. Here, the lesson revolves around respecting and caring for the environment. It portrays frogs not merely as creatures, but as vital parts of the ecosystem, urging everyone to consider their role in protecting nature. The vast array of Frog Princess stories invites listeners to delve into the rich tapestry of human experience, where each culture shares knowledge rooted in its unique history and social fabric. Notably, all these adaptations echo common themes: transformation, the significance of inner beauty, compassion, loyalty, and respect for the environment. The stories compel individuals to reflect on their actions and thoughts, urging a broader awareness of their impact. These tales also serve to entertain, often incorporating whimsical elements, humor, and adventure. In many versions, the princess and the frog experience comical challenges, be it navigating royal courts, outsmarting malicious characters, or dealing with magical spells. These adventures captivate audiences, keeping them engaged while simultaneously conveying meaningful lessons. The adaptability of the Frog Princess narrative makes it timeless, transcending geographic and cultural boundaries. As we examine these stories, we see that at their core, they seek to guide us toward understanding one another and the world around us. They foster empathy, teaching that everyone has a story worth hearing. In this way, The Frog Princess isn't just a fairy tale, it's a reminder that love, friendship, and respect can change one's fate. No matter where you find the Frog Princess story, it encourages us to look deeper, embrace diversity in characters, and appreciate the richness of different cultures. Through these renegotiated tales, we are introduced to universal truths, a shared humanity. As the stories continue to be retold through generations, they remind us that the values embedded within them remain pertinent to our lives today. In the vibrant tapestry of African folklore, few characters stand out as prominently as Anansi the spider. Anansi, a fascinating trickster figure, is often portrayed as a clever spider, whose stories have been passed down through generations. Originating from the Akan people of Ghana, Anansi has woven his way into the fabric of various cultures across the continent and beyond, becoming a symbol of wisdom, intelligence, and the power of storytelling. Anansi is not just an ordinary spider, he embodies the essence of cunning and shrewdness. His adventures often involve outsmarting larger and seemingly more powerful creatures, turning the traditional ideas of strength and size on their heads. For instance, in one popular tale, Anansi seeks to control all the stories in the world, a powerful ambition that drives him to confront the much-feared sky god. To earn this incredible prize, Anansi must complete a series of seemingly impossible tasks, showcasing his cleverness and tenacity. His stories often begin with Anansi getting himself into trouble, sometimes through his own cleverness, and sometimes through his greed. However, it is his ability to think quickly and adapt to situations that often leads to his ultimate success. Throughout these tales, Anansi employs a rich array of tricks, from deceiving his companions to crafting ingenious solutions that highlight his creative intelligence. Take the tale of Anansi and the Pot of Wisdom, for example. In this story, Anansi learns that wisdom is a precious resource, and he desires to keep it all for himself. He gathers the wisdom of the world and places it in a pot. However, as he realizes that hoarding wisdom is futile, he discovers that sharing it enriches not only others but also himself. This fable illustrates a profound truth about knowledge, that wisdom grows and multiplies when shared with others. Anansi's wit is often intertwined with moral lessons, making each story both entertaining and educational. His encounters with animals like the lion, the elephant, and the tortoise reveal human-like traits, sometimes foolish, sometimes wise, reminding us of our own follies and the value of humility and cooperation. For example, in his competition with the tortoise, where he underestimates the slow-moving creature, Anansi's overconfidence ultimately leads to his downfall. Here, the story emphasizes that perseverance and strategy often outweigh brute strength. Moreover, Anansi's character serves as a bridge between cultures. His tales have transcended their African origins, inspiring countless adaptations in Caribbean folklore and beyond, reflecting the diasporic movement of African narratives. The clever spider has become a medium through which important social values are discussed, such as the importance of community, the value of wisdom over wealth, and the idea that humor can be a powerful tool for change. Anansi is also a source of joy and laughter, bringing lightheartedness to serious situations. Whether it's through his humorous misadventures or his witty dialogue with other characters, the stories are often laced with comedic elements that engage the listener. This interplay of humor and wisdom is essential in making Anansi's stories memorable and impactful. It is not just in the tales of victory that Anansi shines, but also through his failures. The hiccups and mistakes he makes along the way resonate with audiences who recognize that learning and growth often come through experiences of misstep. Anansi's life is a journey filled with ups and downs, reflecting the complexities of human nature. Through his antics, we are reminded that it's okay to stumble as long as we learn from our experiences. Furthermore, Anansi stories often encourage critical thinking. They prompt the audience to consider various perspectives and analyze the consequences of cleverness and cunning. Listeners are left pondering the outcomes of Anansi's decisions. Was it wise to trick others? Did he really learn his lesson? These reflections provide a platform for discussing broader themes like ethics and morality. In many cultures, storytelling is an essential part of community life, and Anansi plays a vital role in this tradition. The oral storytelling format allows for a dynamic exchange between the storyteller and the audience, where improvised interactions can enhance the experience. Anansi, with his mischievous nature, often breaks the fourth wall, directly engaging the listeners and inviting them into the narrative. The legacy of Anansi the Spider goes beyond mere tales. It symbolizes the innate wisdom within every individual. Through Anansi, we learn that intellect can come in many forms, and that sometimes the most powerful strength lies in our ability to adapt, understand, and lightheartedly navigate through life's challenges. His stories are a celebration of cleverness, creativity, and the enduring spirit of resilience. As we remember Anansi, we not only preserve the rich heritage of African folklore, but also invite audiences of all ages to find delight, humor, and wisdom in the stories we share. So, the next time you find yourself facing a challenge, think of Anansi, and remember that sometimes a little cleverness goes a long way. Embrace the spirit of the spider, and may you always find a way to weave your own tales filled with wisdom and joy.